He literally gets... Dude. He retracts. I think he retracts for a faster second double boop. So his grapple's this long. Do you see? And then he retracts it right here. Do you see how tight his grapple is here? So he goes like, woo, woo. So his second boop happens like instantly. What the frick, dude? Basically, here's where we're at. Tracer got nerfed. And Orisa got nerfed. And those are probably the two most relevant changes worth noting out. Orisa was relevant. I'm just expecting it now. Go ahead. Drive safe. Love you. Thanks for the food.
You're welcome.
The Orisa nerf was relevant because the Orisa was kind of like the rock, paper, scissors, end-all, be-all in the tank trades in Brawl, where you would just go, if they went Malgo, you just went Orisa and you just crapped all over him, right? And there was, with speed, Orisa could function in versus situations. But Orisa didn't just get nerfed. Orisa got smoked. So that opened up the door back for Malga comps to be relevant and Brawl. Why was Malga played versus Sigma and Ryan? Well, Malga definitely struggles versus Sigma and Ryan if you're not able to set up off angles and commit. But if you could commit with your charge, Ryan can't stop you, Sigma can't stop you, and once you pop Cardiac past the Sigma shield, you slam backline, you pop your Cardiac, you got a Genji in there, you got a Venture in there, everything's got AoE lifesteal. It just didn't matter that much, and that's a lot of what we saw versus the SSG stuff. So a lot of it just ended up being Malgamir is just the best Brawl variant, right? And I talked about this with, I think, 9K or Krusty, I don't remember which one, and they just basically said, lifesteal and Genji, OP. Now, the question is okay, then why hasn't this been utilized for earlier? Because it wasn't just the Orisa nerf. The other nerf that's worth pointing out was the Tracer nerf. Now, it wasn't a significant nerf. 1 second on recall, I believe. I don't know if the armor changes went through. I think they did, but it's a small change there. But the big change for Tracer was the pulse bomb. Where we went from pulse bomb, but basically being at this level of mechanics, basically impossible to kill. Now it's like, okay, now you actually have to, it's hard to land pulse bombs again. And the reason why you wouldn't run Tracer, so Tracers fall slightly out of favor here, is because Tracer's not taking angles often that benefit from those lifesteal. We talked about a group up and rush comp. Tracer's not the hero to play in that situation. Tracer's the character to play over here, but then why are you playing her if she's not benefiting from the lifesteal? So what we saw here is instead of the Sojourn, Tracer, Orisa kind of like taking off angles but playing as a Brawl unit, instead it truly became the cheating of Overwatch, where lifesteal is given to two characters and a Lucio, and that's it. Very similar to GOATs, very similar to Junker Queen Shout. We have a meta where you can cheat map control and ignore map control. And it becomes strictly a game of push-pull, ult cycles, cooldown cycles, and committing on the right targets. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. So you saw some teams trying to like use angles with Tracer and poke out from the side with the Sigma, right? But it just wasn't enough consistently to stop the death ball from grouping up and rushing it down. So the NA Hive Mind won in terms of the... Now, obviously, we don't know if things would have changed the more things were played. But even things like Pharah being played more and Venture being played more were consequences of Tracer just not being as much of a must pick. Just not as much of a must pick. You talk about like the way a lot of the meta evolution just came from the fact that Malga was able to hard commit with Cardiac past a lot of tanks. That wasn't Orisa because Orisa sucks. And Tracer flanker spot started to be contested because she was overall the weakest that she's been in a long time, since Season 9. And so that's why you were seeing these Genjis and these Ventures and these Pharahs, because you actually had flankers that could contest. A Pharah with lifesteal, a Genji with lifesteal, a Venture with lifesteal. Characters that can and will take off angles, but ultimately can contribute in short-range duels a lot more than Tracer. And that's what happened. And this meta evolution happened quickly, very quickly. And these teams were just really, really, really freaking good at it. The only other thing to point out here was the obvious discrepancies in terms of the support lineup. Obviously, like you're going to play Lip on Cassidy when you can because the guy's crazy at it. And while Lip does not benefit from the lifesteal, Cassidy's still strong. And with Roll, Hender, the 275 HP, he can live or survive or punish trades and pre-fight poke them as they're setting up. Okay? Not to mention just, hero strengths, guys. Like, he's just good. You don't want to put Lip on Genji or Venture. You just put him on Cassidy or Tracer. Tracer's not as good. Okay, then we play Cassidy, right? The other discrepancy as well is a lot of the Baptiste and Kiriko. Again, I think this was just partly a stylistic choice. Like, Baptiste is not under enough direct threat as long as there's not something like a Tracer and a Genji. Then Cassidy starts to have Baptiste has a hard time, right? Baptiste can live a single man dive, right? And so when it's 2 and 3, that's when he starts to melt instantly. And so why not play something that could put out more damage? Yes, you might lose some healing support on your Genji and Venture, but you do end up doing so much more damage on the enemy front line and the enemy flankers, okay? The other obvious answer here, and maybe this is a little bit of my conspiracy here, but I actually talked about this with 9K and Krusty, and I think they agreed. I can't remember. Anyway, Fielder's just not as good of a Kiriko. I haven't studied his Kiriko as much, but from the little bit that we saw on Raccoon versus Falcons in the grand finals, it just wasn't great. It just wasn't great. His positioning wasn't proactive enough. I know Fielder's traditionally the OP Kiriko because all he did was heal bot in 2020 and that in 2022, and that's just not as good right now. So to sum things up, some minor stylistic choices playing to character strengths, but ultimately the same functional value. AoE lifesteal in brawl comps that cheat the map control. Very similar to GOATs, very similar to Junker Queen Shout, and actually very similar to 2022 Grand Finals meta. You guys remember Winston, Kiriko, Sojourn, Tracer, Reaper? You basically had Sojourn taking an angle, and that's pretty much it. Everyone's pretty much grouped up, heal botting, heal botting, heal botting. Why? Because Kiriko, Kitsune, and Kiriko healing was so strong, you could cheat the map control. No, he's not the Kiriko GOAT. Not even close right now. He was the heal bot GOAT. Yes. Is Shu that great at Kiriko as well? I don't know. I assume he's fine. I am out of the loop with who are the GOAT Kirikos right now. But I do know that Fielder did not impress the last time I watched him. Cheat the map control means that you don't take any off angles. Everybody just groups up in a giant death ball clump, and you could poke at it from multiple off angles. It doesn't matter. You have Malga lifesteal. Doesn't matter if you have a superior Tracer angle or superior Sojourn angle. You just lifesteal, OP. Sometimes this is what happened in Overwatch 1 when Bat Brig and Double Shield and stuff like that was meta. You didn't need to take off angles. You just grouped. Why did Lip not play Ashe when they played ball? I mean, Ashe is just fat and slow, and you know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't like to move, right? She's extremely potent if she can set her feet, but even in this comp here, like, even with a ball, like, you got to move, and Ashe is just not effective when she has to move. Why not Ana for anti against lifesteal? She would get run over. It's not a bad idea, but the problem is that if you run Ana here, then Kiriko Suzu's your nade, and you just fold over and die instantly. The other problem as well is that Cardiac also gives damage reduction, which means that you don't fold over instantly. You just fold over quickly. But yeah, because you just Suzu the nade and then you kill the Ana. Whereas the Baptiste, Kiriko, a little bit harder to nail down.
Down and these gates will open.
This is why exactly why AoE pressure is way healthier than AoE. I just think AoE sustain in general is like really dangerous. Like really dangerous. Because it makes for... Okay, here's a hot take, guys. I think that the hero meta was interesting. Especially the finals. I think we got... I think that this Malga Brawl, just because Cassidy, Genji, and Venture, I found it way less interesting to watch than it could have been. I'm not going to criticize this meta. It could have been a lot worse. But I think even though we had a decent amount of hero variety, there wasn't a lot of positioning variety, which felt like a lot of the DPS pop-off moments kind of rang hollow. You get what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't any crazy Genji flanks or Cassidy steps or Venture assassinations or Kiriko 2 taps. Like, it was pretty much just teams smashing their heads up against the wall. And a lot of the DPS pop-offs were just combos. It was just combos. It was like Cage Blade, right? Or something along those lines. So, yeah, this is after the restart. So I don't think it was a bad meta for finals, especially when teams, they started like non-mirror stuff. But it could have been a lot better. And a lot of it is Cardiac's fault. Cardiac was really, really rough. Now, one other thing. The cool thing was that visually, they did something where they're like not just red and blue. That was cool. That made it easier to watch.
Team Falcons and Crazy Raccoons.
So this is kind of what we talked about, where teams are going to be more comfortable playing non-tracer characters, and what they'll do is they'll pick the character that makes the most sense on the map. This is a very high ground oriented, choke oriented map, which is perfect for Pharah. So this is where you go Pharah. Maybe not on the retake because she's a little too slow on the retake, but this is cool.
It was the winners finals and it was Falcons.
It's just a more healthy version of Ghost. Yeah, I would agree. The one redeeming factor is that the DPS choices, I find Venture, Genji, Cassidy, and Pharah to an extent, all very interesting DPS characters to watch. So I think the DPS hero choices, the DPSs that were strong, made this a much more enjoyable version of Clumper Watch to watch.
That punch their tickets.
I mean, look at the AoE sustain, right? Like the AoE splash. This is really good. They try to conk on the rotation. And they go, we cannot fight in there. It's literally a death trap. Yeah, so what ends up happening is, okay, so let me pause. One more discussion here. So there's this myth that AoE comps have a high team ceiling. In other words, team play, like, okay, yeah, you don't have to take off angles and pop off, but you have a way higher skill ceiling when it comes to, like, the push-pull and macro. Cheers, Calix, I appreciate it. But that's actually false. That's actually completely false. What AoE comps do is because they don't have to think about positioning as much, they're then allowed to skip steps. Basics of Overwatch are like, okay, you have to think about team play, you have to think about positioning, you have to think about off angles and things like that. But what you do when you play a comp like this is you really check two of the boxes out, so you only need to work on your team play, your push-pull. You look at a comp like on his double flex support dive or on a brig dive. That team play is very important in those comps. But you also have to think about your off angles and your positioning and so on, things like this. So when you play a comp like this, you just don't have to think about your positioning as much. You just don't. So it actually makes the game easier, so you could skip steps to the push-pull team play dynamic.
DPS has been so good here for Falcons with the Genji and the Venture.
There's a Pharah angle that forces cardiac, that forces shift. Nice Pharah angle there. Good trying the conk there as well. Venture almost gets him out of the sky, or gets her out of whatever. Venture almost gets Heesang out of the sky. Now we're going to miss a lot because I don't have an OPR account. So we're going to try and slow it down at times. Proper's forcing the point on an off angle. They're going to try to rotate to take high ground for Lip. Can Heesang live? He's being sped on with Bap Lucio. He is going to live, but only barely so. No. I thought he'd rotated out. He doesn't live. They catch him without Lamp. They catch Chio as well. Junbin commits. Stalker commits on the rotation. This is just basically a messy deathmatch. And the big thing there is that basically Heesang kind of got caught on an island and didn't quite finish the kill. Stalker was insane to this character. So retaking off the Pharah would have been nice if they had stayed on the Pharah for longer. If they just losing that fight that quickly is kind of unfortunate. But Tracer on the retake because they have the angle now to set up for free. And I will say, Tracer does feel pretty good if you can get her onto the Baptiste. It's going to feel a lot better than versus the Kirker. So that is one of the fragility things here. So they're going to set up the angle. They're going to hard commit with Cardiac on both sides with the Tracer angle. And they're probably doing this because of BAP window. Can they keep Junbin alive? There's a Suzu. There's a Venture ult. They're able to kill Stalker. And that's it. That's really... It really just comes down to mechanics here. Here's what they do. They go Tracer angle, brute force the angle here, pray it works. That's it. There's no nuance here at all. Slam, BAP window, cardiac, commit from Lip, commit for Chorong, commit from Shu. The Venture ult gets killed. I think the only thing I could say there is maybe we could have seen Chorong playing a little bit more aggressively on the high ground there, just considering it is a hard commit. But really, just 3-2-1, and they shot people. That's all. There's literally no nuance in that fight whatsoever. They hit the Suzu at the right time. They hit the Cardiac at the right time. They had the Tracer angle at the right time. Lip didn't really have a good sightline, but you're not going to have a really good sightline there. The only thing I could have said there is that maybe they rotate to point first. But the problem is that now you just let their BAP window go on high ground. And so this, like, it's a 50-50 play either way.
comes into play because you can look at
Who is Malga supposed to focus on? So if you're going to be able to get close, probably Baptiste or Venture is probably the better hitbox.
that blade.
And once you've committed with your slam, one of those two.
To be able to pair with that.
I think all these characters are viable, really. I think maybe Malga's the trickiest one because you will get counterpicked more in ranked. And this, this composition works because of not just the lifesteal for Malga, but the lifesteal on the characters around Malga. So I'd say Malga's the one that's going to feel a little bit worse in ranked compared to the other characters, but I think all the other characters are pretty decent.
The cage, you could just go for the general
Tracer angle, poking out the Venture. And again, the timing here is always perfect, right? Like they commit the angle here and then they high noon. So Stalker's going to get zero help.
Yeah, overdrive or even just the sound barrier here. The lip
He has to burrow. And there...
general cardiac overdrive or even just the
So Malga commits off angles on their Malga. The problem is now that there's no cardiac for your Cassidy. So now Malga is basically solo angling here with backline here. So what they do is they burrow slam combo. And you got to be really careful with this because slam will cancel high noon.
The lip opens things up first.
Bam. So then there's the beat engage on into the high noon. Chorong needs Lip needs Suzu here. The Suzu is late, and then the beat is late too. Now, if this had been Suzu'd, everybody dies on Falcons because the Suzu also denies the slam stun too. It denies the slam stun. It makes him intangible. So now you have a high noon that's ramped up to 6,000%. With beat HP, Team Falcon size. So, that's ballsy. Shu just missed the Suzu. So this fight's a loss. Nice little bit of a nice response there from Raccoon. And the worst part about it, for Falcons, the worst part about that for Raccoon is that you've used beat. Shu is such a noob. I agree. That guy sucks. It is an odd Suzu. I would love to look at his POV there because that was not a hard Suzu to land. That was very telegraphed. Should have been easy. I think the problem there was probably miscommunication where they wanted to greed the beat and instead of using beat and then Suzu and beat at the same time. The problem with that is that you need your high noon to stay active and beat won't stop your high noon from getting stomped. So I think it's okay to layer those two.
Enemy territory. And even better though that combo has no sound barrier to answer it.
Timing again here, perfect. I think. No, it's not perfect, ladies and gentlemen. I completely lied. I thought that they had committed, but they actually haven't. So Heesing is a little early here. So maybe he's early on purpose to kind of force some attention, allow his team to walk through the choke, but he's definitely pretty early there. They cage fight, they cardiac, they mirror with cage fight, but Kitsune. Okay, so this is a little nuance for those of you guys in the back here. This is a big mistake from... Okay, maybe not a big mistake from Smurf because there's not a lot you can do here. But this is something that goes back to the previous days of Malga mirrors. The Kitsune Malga annihilates in the cage fight mirror. Annihilates in the cage fight mirror. Because you got to think about it. Like Malga versus Malga, cage fight versus cage fight. But one Malga is firing what? Is it twice as fast? Right? I forget what the exact numbers with Kitsune is. Like you just melt. Like Smurf's HP should be annihilated here. They will lamp him. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. He should get destroyed. He should. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how. In fact, okay, so there has to be a couple of details. So let's look at these details. First things first. It looks like there's a little bit of split attention here. Looks like we're split between this target here and this target here. The other thing to point out as well is that, yes, Stalker actually walks in front of backline and deflects here. So that's like a full 2 seconds where they're not using the Kitsune damage. The other thing to point out as well is that you're running Tracer. And Tracer and Kitsune, not as good, right? Like you end up not getting... Like, you want something that like has more direct damage immediately. That's unfortunate. We won't be able to look at that more in detail because, you know, no replay viewer. But yeah. It's well played by Falcons. Should be it. Should be it. Should be it. I don't want to waste too much time if there's... Okay, we could skim through this really fast, see if there's anything cool. Bat point to one high. Yeah, I think this maybe not that be interesting to look at. Smurf dies though. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Can't bat place a lamp just outside their cage to make it impossible to destroy. You can, but the cage itself should be melted. You should be able to melt the cage. I guess that's probably what might have happened there, Turtle Hacks, is you place the lamp outside, and then because you're running Tracer, like you don't have enough shield break in it. No, there's no replay codes, guys. It was done in OPR.
Wait.
What?
Okay, so let's talk about the Roadhog here. I'm not going to lie with you guys. It's about 50-60% just rolling the dice. Not if happens inside right, yeah. It's just rolling the dice. It's a slightly more open map. If they play Venture, Hog is good versus Venture. Pretty easy. Yeah, I'm not going to check every POV for every moment. It would be way too inefficient of time. So we will do POVs later on, but we're not going to be checking POVs for everything. Yeah, like I say, it's a little bit not a broad enough map. It's too easy to stall on point. I don't think the Hog was a prepared strat either. I heard from Backbone that sometimes Junbin just whips it out just for fun. Like there doesn't seem to be any huge obvious pattern to it. And I will say again, like Hog can do a lot of damage to a lot of characters here. Like you can hurt this, you can hurt this, you can hurt this, right? Like there's things that you could do. You're like Hook forces Cardiac, and a Cardiac Malga's not going to kill a Roadhog. The problem with Roadhog is that he dies to things like Cassidy, he dies to Discord, he dies to things like Echo, it gets poked out a lot. But when you're running this, yeah, BAP can do some decent damage. Yeah, Malga can do some decent damage, but Venture's worthless. Tracer's damage, worthless. Lucio damage, worthless. So, is it a cheesy niche strat? Yeah, sure. Is there a decent amount of logic behind it? Yeah, and there's enough space here to make thinking like a Hook as well. So, the reason why we don't see more Roadhog is I think that if teams started to play more Roadhog, you would just have teams immediately swapping to like Cassidy Genji, and Roadhog would just die. I think Cassidy Genji with this same comp would just completely destroy the Roadhog. But these guys are not likely to play Cassidy Genji. So if it works on a map, doesn't screw over your old economy, go for it.
Junbin has left the spawn with the Roadhog.
Now the Tracer is just, for both of these teams, it's just because this map is so freaking big that the angles matter more. Right? We talked about like why you wouldn't play the Tracer, but if the angles are so wide, there's Cardiac, and Hog just walks away. Now there's one counterplay here. I want to see if you guys can catch this. So you get hooked, he forces Cardiac. Great. But Junbin can't necessarily just walk away because he gets slammed. You see that? So the slam will cancel the vape. Problem is, his vape is on such a freaking low cooldown, it doesn't matter. No, we've already talked about why you wouldn't run Ana here. Ana's not going to matter. You just Suzu. Doesn't matter. So he just vapes, and he can walk away. Now, the problem here is I think Junbin probably vaped too early. So instead of being able to live this, he dies. In addition, I don't know where the punish is from Chorong or Hisang. But yeah. But it's a trade. Even though Junbin kind of screws up maybe a little bit there, it's a trade. Because it's actually so expensive for them to push him there that they end up getting traded. Yeah, I understand that, Olivero, but we don't have time to look at every POV. Oh, that shot is crazy. Good use of the high ground here from Stalker, really trying to stage. He's got no cooldown, so he's got to be really careful. Basically just a stall fest. It's a 4v4 Hog back. Malga does come back sooner. They commit. He doesn't hit the hook. There's Cardiac commit right there. Can they kite it out? They cannot kite it out. And this is basically what makes Malga great. Watch this off of your screen. Proper's pulling their attention this way. Then we see Malga commit right there with Venture. Stalker ints. Probably should die. Nope. Smurf's on the way. Smurf comes flying in. Slams Cardiacs. Stalker's fine now. Stalker's full HP.
There's so much investment going into keeping Lip alive.
And so really Roadhog has to really kind of prevent that full commit from happening. He kind of has to do what he does first fight, where he kind of screws up the timing of that full commit. Any hero pick questions, I'm going to... Here, let's create a command here really quick. Why did they play X? Because we've already answered... Because I don't want to answer the same question a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's really hard to get the hog off of the point, but
Okay, force point. Here comes the Kitsune. Here comes the cardiac. There's a Kitsune mirror, and Lip just pops off. Lip just hits 2 shots. Bam, bam. That's it. Not that deep. Yeah, he just hit shots. Like, Stalker's not really in a position. I will say this is a bit of an issue from Falcons, where I don't think they were set up for this fight. Like, if for the Kitsune push, you really want Stalker to come up here first and the Kitsune, and then you can actually have pressure that's going to pull Lip away from the Kitsune. Why do they play the earpiece? Okay, buddy. So you can see, like, there's a bit of a downtime there at the most crucial moment of the Kitsune, and then it's just GG's. I mean, this is absurd. Yeah, that was huge. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh wait, maybe it's not this fight. I don't remember. Why did they play Oasis? Stop it! Stop it! Yeah, their BAP was dead. Yeah. So I look at this fight here, and I think it's probably going to be some combination of either Ventural, like we're seeing now, or BAP window to try to force the beat defensively. And then Chio is able to beat on top of that. Like, you have the ult advantage here, so you can use your ultimates to force their ultimate. So let's see what happens with this Venture ultimate. It's kind of a weird setup here. I kind of would prefer the BAP window first, because Venture ult, I think, is a little bit awkward. It's better mid-fight, right? A little bit harder to set up, not as consistent value. Much prefer the BAP window here. And then from there, you can use your Venture to stage top, right, with your Lucia or whatever, right? Tracer takes the angle this way, and then you have your Malga push as a result. But I don't like this ult cycle from them. I think that Venture ult's a much worse. Junbin also just hits a hook, so now all Raccoon has to do is live, and then they retake with a man advantage. There's overrun out. Falcons has to run. Why? Cardiac? Oh no, he messed up his run. He messed up his run. He got hooked on the freaking the thing. BAP window's used, beat is used, beat is used. Oh no. Oh! I mean, if I was lost, but it's still cool.
And it is delectable. Oh, it's just so good. Another resource you can invest.
Yeah.
And also just that whole hog into a corner. Smurf on the it's just gonna go into the drink.
Oh. That's unreal, really. And the worst part about all this is that, like, you actually go into that fight with such an old advantage too, and it's gone. Like, it's gone. Like, you have cage fight, which is pretty good, but cage fight versus Cassidy Hog is pretty bad, and then Shu's gonna have Kitsune. So you're actually gonna be operating at a slight ultimate disadvantage. And now it's last fight. And they early high noon. Love that, really. It's worth a shot, right? No pun intended. It's worth a shot. So all this time is wasted. They almost get the kill. I will say, it is risky to use that. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to this, but High Noon was pretty consistently used as a cage fight disruptor. Because if you can give him Suzu, right, either inside or outside the cage, it is pretty consistently good at breaking the cage if you can just give him like a second or two. So, it was a good try. But it's not... High Noon is more valuable than you think. Okay, so they're going to kite off. They're playing it safe. They're waiting for cage fight. There's overrun. They should try to take space off of this. Kitsune on point, and then another shot down. Yeah, that's it. There's just Kitsune, and it's over. Yeah.
That's the tip number 1.
The whole
I'm gonna get a mouthful of food, honestly.
and it's so impactful. Quick pick onto Chio. You completely neutralize the mobility on this team. You're able to get a big DPS out.
It just does so much damage. Like, you have a cage fight. Cassidy alone can break the cage if you give him pocket like 2 or 3 seconds. Not to mention Roadhog. Bam, 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 bam. It's just broken. It's broken. And it kills the Malga too if you're not careful as well. So I think cage fight, Kitsune, depending on the situation, can be a really good answer for cage fight at the pro level. All right, Pharah again, because just the high ground, the first fight value from Pharah is just so freaking high. And the other thing about Pharah too, they don't pick Pharah because they're playing Genji Venture necessarily, but it definitely doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt your decision. Let's put it that way. All right, like there's your DPS can't even touch you, right? So would they roll on the Pharah if they're playing Cassidy still? Maybe, because it is just really good for this fight. You know, the map matters, but like the Pharah just meaning that you automatically win top is like pretty nice. And there's nowhere they can go. Like, Pharah kills you here, Pharah kills you here, Pharah kills you here. Like, there's not a single choke point that she can't take control out of.
When you do have control, you're looking at 2 giant doorways to kind of shoot through. And with Pharah's added mobility now as well.
Like, even making the rotations painful with Conk. Now, notice what they do here. Notice when they push. Junbin's used his overrun. They say, guys, let's group up Cardiac and rotate right now.
Easy to kind of get out of the way if you need to.
So Junbin is forced to use Cardiac as well. And you notice that Proper is doing this. Now, I saw a video by Jake once. He talked about like frontline deflecting being like a really broken way to use Genji and Brawl trades. And like as a Genji, you should be trying to like deflect in front of your tank. I disagree with that. 99.9% of the time, it's a bad move. But a lot of times when we do see Genji in pro play, whether it was the Junker Queen meta in Jotes or whether it is now, the Genji deep angles aren't as valuable because of the AoE sustain of Cardiac and so on and so on. And also he needs to be getting value out of his own Cardiac and so on. In which case, this is a really good use of your deflect. It gives you a massive advantage in the tank trade because you're not going to be taking angles anyway, right? In fact, we already saw earlier where this deflect literally allowed Falcons to win a cage fight trade that they had no business winning. So it's good. It's good.
It can be terrifying because only Field are really shooting up at the
There's not a single position of this map that I can take.
Taking the high ground. Creating a pincer a little bit with Stalker. That's going to be taking.
And you can see it, like, right? Popper's like, I'm gonna take an angle. Oh, never mind, this is useless. They're just gonna out-sustain my angle. So, like, I might as well just group up and take a shorter angle. Like, you still take soft angles, but it's like... Bro, this is such a punishing meta for main supports. And that's just mechanics. That's just mechanics, frankly. There's a little bit of an off angle from the Pharah, and that's pretty much it. It's a good setup. It's a good setup from the Pharah. It's not always inappropriate to take angles. It's just tighter angles. He's just like me for real.
So much damage for he saying that barrage is.
I want to say something positive, guys. I want to say something positive. I know Pharah is still mostly Pharah. But can we just appreciate that despite the Pharah rework not being maybe the full package, this never would have happened prior to the rework. Never. Never. You never would have seen Pharah without a Mercy Pocket. You never would have seen her. You get what I'm saying? So let's give credit where credit is due. I know the Roadhog rework is a joke. I'm with you on that one. But I mean, come on, guys. Look at this. Look at this. This is Pharah being played at Brawl. Like, what? At the professional level. Pharah is replacing Tracer. And we're getting some sick clips, too, without a Mercy Pocket, right? It's not just the Pharah you're spamming tank or spamming each other, guys. Like, it's good. It's fun. It's not perfect, right? Like, there are some aspects that are messy, but like, hey, I mean, this is... I mean, and also while we're on it, I know Venture has some frustrating moments, right? In terms of like the burst combos and stuff like that. But also, dude, come on. Venture was freaking amazing to watch in this match. So much fun to watch. So many pop-off moments, mechanical stuff. We have a reworked character from Overwatch 1 that's actually now interesting to watch. A lot more interesting to watch. And a brand spanking new DPS character that's also really fun to watch as well. I'm a shill, guys. But honestly, like now the funny thing is that our favorite new DLC reworked characters were kind of ruined by a DLC character that everybody hates. So like, there's a lot of bad with the good. But you know, I'm just saying.
It's gonna be coming up mighty quick. Find a way to just let it rip into one of these windows. Maybe Falcons even take a misstep, go into one of these small rooms, and that barrage is going to be even better. But with Shu also going to be able to have...
Genji Venture just benefits so much from that lifesteal. So like, even though they're rotating into Pharah, they're gonna make it. They're gonna make it work. Wait, how did they force cardiac so early? I think they just... Okay, so this is where little off angles can help. So I want you guys to look at the setup really quick. Right here, they swing wide. Right here, not really an off angle, but they swing wide early, and he's saying, I don't know where he's saying or Lip's POV is. Okay, so let's talk about this really quick. Okay, so the advantage of Cassidy is that if both teams are standing and looking at each other, this guy does so much more damage than this guy does. The problem is for him to peak this, he has to risk his life. He might get too close, might get slammed, run on, GG easy, right? Dead. Genji Venture don't do as much damage as Cassidy, but they can actually swing wide and poke without risking getting run on and slammed because they have mobility cooldowns. So what ends up happening is that, in theory, you're like, why are we losing the tank trade, bro? We're playing Genji Venture. They're playing Genji Venture, guys. The guy just tickles Malga. But it doesn't matter. Look at where Lip is. And why is Lip there? Because Lip can't be here. That's the difference. You can win tank trades with bad tank buster characters just by the nature of the fact that your character can take angles that other characters can't take. Even just grouping up and peeking an angle at the same time. Burrow in, corner peek. They're going to push off of BAP window, and Crazy Raccoon is going to respond. They know they're down their cardiac. They know they're down the corner, so they're going to respond with Kitsune Barrage. And that's it. Great response. Great response. Even if you die, you just completely kill the push that right there. That's such a good response from Crazy Raccoon. That required split-second timing, and they nailed it. The barrage was perfect. That's exactly what you want out of a barrage. You do not live a barrage. You don't live a barrage. Your job is to get a trade if possible and just destroy the enemy team's focus. A one-for-one trade is almost always a good trade with barrage, almost without exception. Okay. And this is what we talked about, right, with Cassidy. He's going to peek early with High Noon on the rotation. They're actually just a teeny bit late. And Chio is just going to go balls to the wall. Beat, 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 beat. And they're in. Oh, they didn't even... Okay. All right, we're going to have to break this one down. Stay with me.
Not close enough. You're hoping maybe to light it up.
Cardiac High Noon. Smurf goes in with Slam. Stalker whips the ultimate out. Chat, what needed to happen right now? What needed to happen right now? What's the proper response from Crazy Raccoon? We've already had this question before. You guys should know the answer here. I'm going to be super disappointed, maybe even angry. No, not beat. Not yet. Suzu. Yes. It has to be Suzu. You cannot cancel High Noon here. You cannot cancel High Noon. You cannot roll in here with beat. They will respond with beat, and then now your Cassidy's out of position. You need the High Noon now. You need deflect. You need lamp. You need cardiac. You need the High Noon to go off. You need to Suzu to cleanse the stomp, and then you can beat afterwards. You're right. Beat will be used at some point, but not now. The problem here is Lip does not trust the Suzu, so he rolls. He actually rolls out of the Suzu. I think that's the Suzu right there. Maybe I'm seeing things wrong. He rolls out of the Suzu and freaking dies before the beat hits. You have to trust the Suzu. That is a major error from Lip right there. Fight losing error. It's the second time that's happened there. You have to be able to catch and trust your supports.
absolute chaos, but it's this time the Falcons are going to.
It's a great response from Falcons. And it's a clean response from Falcons too. Only 2 ults needed there.
Damage is just immense.
Exactly, and there's no shield to be able to block that damage in sight. But as you called out the blade not being online before, proper.
So I don't even know what you do now, because they're gonna cage fight, and they're gonna cage fight, but one team's gonna have Cage Blade, and Cage Blade is insane. Cage Blade is insane because you can literally just go on any target that you want, lock them down, and then now you have a life steal on your Dragon Blade. Literally a full heal every time you chop your blade almost. Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying. Do you think it's really worth? Yeah, it's fine if you don't. He goes in hard. Man, they don't even cage fight. They don't even blade because they don't even respond with cage fight. Cheat fight win. Yeah, Moira is just getting out of spawn faster. If you don't have ult charge to lose, it's objectively the right move. There's a way to do it. Remind me later and I'll show you guys how to do it. Do I ever twerk on stream?
Crazy Raccoon, they've got a cage up their sleeve.
Okay, so this is going in hard. Junbin needs to catch this blade. He doesn't. Oh, they just kited it. Oh, wait, that's so dirty. So they. What does he see? What does he see? Oh, we just messed up. I mean, it just was a bad blade. Heesang had both cooldowns there. He had both jump shed and lunge, or whatever the stupid rocket dash is. That just was never going to work. Then they catch Venture. Venture's dead. I don't even think he needed lifesteal there. They bap window. Off angle set up from the Malga. They'll probably run commit here. 3, 2. Where is it? He's on top of the bap. Oh no, Shu gets picked. That's a huge mistake from Shu. No way Shu should die there. Yeah, he's dead. Okay. So a lot of ults here from Crazy Raccoon. Like the Kitsune should have been way cleaner, but yeah, a little messy. Yeah, proper is a noob. Guy's trash.
Now they have to walk into a beat and a barrage coming here for Crazy Raccoon.
And with no beat of their own just yet, even if you do, you're just going to have so much damage coming out from the barrage. You might be able to just.
Honestly, you could just beat Barrage this if you'd like to. Like, you could just cheat the game and just... This is where the Baptiste feels really messy. Now, they might track that they have beat, which would give you some pause. So maybe they'll open with Noon first. But if Chio doesn't build beat in time, or Chio ends up having to use his beat early, beat Barrage should just win the fight. Because Baptiste is somebody that you can always run down on. OG, thank you for the sub, mate. Good setup here. Nice little split. Can they get cardiac? Can they get cardiac? Can they get cardiac? No. Really well played by Raccoon. Check this out. So they're using this Venture ult now to try and force an advantage that they can hard commit off of, right? And they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't even get cardiac. They do get some decent damage. They get a little bit of space off it. There's cardiac. And they're going to try and commit off of that. Okay, so there it is. They force cardiac eventually. They force high noon. They say 3, 2, 1, guys, commit with beat, commit with beat, commit with beat. Dude, Lip cancels the noon again. And then they catch with Barrage. It's deflected, and he dies. Bro, trust the Suzu! Trust the Suzu! Holy crap! The third time! The third time, man! And so they're forced to beat now. Chorong's 1 HP. We're lucky he didn't Ajax here. Trust the Suzu, man. Trust the Suzu. Or there has to, maybe he's already used, but like, come on. You're canceling noon every time, and then Cassidy doesn't do anything in the beat. They're on top of you. You're dead, dude. So now Heesing's forced to try and bail things out with Barrage. So bad. Oh, yeah, I can move my face cam. No, bro, yeah, CBA, dude, CBA. High Noon was never the win. But don't stop thinking about win cons. The whole point of the High Noon was to create space or to force their beat and to live. Then you use Suzu. Then you use beat. It's not about like win con. Every ult's a win con. Every ult serves a purpose. Default force this so that you can force this so you can force this. If High Noon fails, your beat will not do its job. If High Noon fails, your barrage will not do its job. You needed the Noon to last longer so that it could force the amount of cooldowns so that your barrage could work. They didn't even deflect the High Noon. They deflected the barrage. Why? Because the High Noon never happened.
Straight to the spawn.
No. Raccoon is playing this really well, but that one combo has been bad 3 times in a row. They're touching with Tracer, that's the swap. They have to full commit here. They have nothing. BAP winner, they should just lose this. They should just lose this. Heesang should be dead. Lifesteal's broken. Kind of bad here, actually. He should die. Oh my days. Oh my days. Oh my days. What is happening? Okay, so we gotta look at this.
Yeah, look, Crazy Raccoon have talked over their DPS as well. Tracer and the Venture. Heesang popping up, but they're so low health. Lips on the point. Pressuring. Can't be too much of a factor in.
I'm not sure what happened, guys.
Yeah, look, Crazy Raccoon have talked over their DPS as well.
I don't know where the cardiac was from Smurf. Okay, there it is. I think Smurf maybe overpeaks the corner and loses too much HP. I also see Stalker in the back line too, causing a lot of chaos. I don't know. It's a fine blade, it does the job. Maybe Proper could have disengaged that faster. Maybe it's also the nature of just the running the Baptiste is just in the chaos you can get picked off. Also maybe Heesang is just a crack addict. Or Stalker's a crack addict. I'm honestly not too sure at this point. I don't think Stalker's gonna get help though. He might need to disengage. He needs to disengage. Oh, he gets cardiac. He cage fights himself. Junbin's in there. Junbin's cage fight response. Suzu's used. Stalker's just mashing the ultimate. But he's not gonna be able to get anything done. This is just deathmatch, guys. This is unreal. Oh, he doesn't get fielder in time. Heesang. Dang. What a mess. That was a sick fight.
What a pick.
Yeah, I saw it solo variant. We're gonna be doing team play stuff. We're not gonna be doing POV stuff today. It's too inefficient to be jumping around Vine. Now I saw a lot of like speculation about why Crazy Raccoon and Falcons were running. A lot of these teams, like a lot of the Korean teams, were picking like Flashpoint as map pick. And let me talk about like why this is a bad idea, and let's talk about why this might be a good idea. So the bad thing is that the Flashpoint map pool is really just 2 maps. And while those maps definitely have their differences, they're not as significant as many of the Escort and Hybrid maps. You got like your Eichenwalds. I don't remember what the map pool was. Gibraltar. There's a lot of like weird maps. Havana, right? So there's a risk of you not picking your Escort or your Hybrid and then getting thrown into like Gibraltar Dive Mirror because you didn't pick your version of Escort. Okay? You should have picked your version of Escort so that you didn't let them do what they wanted here. Does that sound familiar? Because that's exactly what happens this match. Is that Falcons clearly did not want Gibraltar. And yet, when they had the opportunity to pick the Escort that they wanted, they didn't pick it. And they got punished for it. No spoilers. Now, the good side of picking Flashpoint is that Falcons may have a crazy high win percentage on Flashpoint here on this particular point, and they just want a W. They just want a W. They know it. They just want a W right now. Let's build some momentum. Or maybe there's a chance that the Survasa win rate is really, really low too. That they're like, all right, well, we just need to go. We just need to go. The problem with that logic, in my opinion, is for most teams, from what we know, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, is it just mean I would rather have a bad Flashpoint than a bad Escort or Hybrid. So something had to have gone on behind the scenes where Falcons were more scared of a bad Flashpoint than they were of a bad Escort or Hybrid, which doesn't seem normal. That is weird. Because again, Flashpoints are not really all that different. They're kind of all the same. Very similar, right? Very small differences, but nothing super major. I think generally New Junk City has a little bit more high ground, a little bit more sightline. Survasa generally a little bit flatter. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. So, and this is not the only time that this happened. I think this happened in the previous matchup as well, where they really wanted to go to Flashpoint second map. No idea. No idea. I think it's a bad strategic decision, but it's based in some form of logic. But hindsight here, you pick your escort of choice so that you could avoid the Gibraltar if you really aren't confident in the Gibraltar. And it looked like Falcons were not confident in the Gibraltar at all. Okay, nothing really other to say other than the fact that we're running Genji Tracer. I think the sight lines with Cassidy are a little bit worse here, especially on first point here. It's a little bit more congested where there are more deep flanks available for Tracer. So that generally Raccoon wants to put lip on Cassidy because his Cassidy is great. But his Tracer is competent. It's, I would say, one of the best, if not the best, hit scan Tracer in the world. I think when we talk about hit scan players, you're talking about characters that are like hard hit scan, like Kai, Sparker, and so on. Lip has probably the best Tracer out of all of them. It's good. I would say it's probably like an A tier Tracer. And so you're not as scared of Tracer matchups here. And again, Tracer when you have angles, pretty decent versus the BAP, even with the whole Cardiac Malga stack here. So
performance on that venture opts to go to the Genji for this time around.
Yeah.
Genji just because it's very congested.
They really do, especially when you're going against something that doesn't have shielding. Tectonic shock is just so strong. You can pop Cardiac Overdrive too. Everybody's kind of grouped up. You see them disengage and re-engage with the ult.
You see, they're scared.
Very easy to get in the back line too.
Their BAP. They want to rotate their BAP into like look at where they rotate their BAP.
Very easy to get in the
Create that distance so that you can actually get range pressure. Because if they slam BAP, you're done. You're done. Doesn't matter what comp you're running. Even with lifesteal, you're done.
ends up hitting the burrow. Still got a Zero Dash, I would imagine. Junbin just
It's a good catch. It's a really good catch by Falcons.
ends up hitting the
You see this? Little mini off angles, right? And this is where BAP is exceptional. If BAP is uncontested, he's way better than Kiriko in terms of damage and healing support.
rest of his team.
The problem is that BAP is easier to contest than Kiriko. He's a lot more fragile.
People away out of position completely away from your team. And Stalker is just giving us a masterclass on this pick as well.
So it's a messy fight, but clear advantage to Falcons there.
And Stalker is just making this pick.
Happy Tracer is good. I think Happy Tracer is one of the best hit scan tracers in the world as well. I think Happy Tracer maybe second best hit scan tracer off the top of my mind. I don't really count Proper as a hit scan. No, it's not all Malga. No. Thank goodness. Tracer angle. And again, this is kind of like where it's just hard to play Tracer into this. Like it's a good map for it, so he's gonna force it. But it's so easy to force your recall with a couple of Genji shurikens. You don't really have any flank support because you're running a composition that basically needs to permanently babysit your Malga, and then obviously Cardiac, and you're doing no damage at all. And you're not even using your own lifesteal. So there's the hard commit. They're able to clear off the high. And I don't even know what happens to Heesang here. I think it's just a goof. How come we don't see him as a hit scan? I mean, because he's a Genji. He's a projectile player. He just has a projectile. He's a crazy expansive hero pool, but he's not a hard hit scan player.
Pushes back Crazy Raccoon, so they have to try to figure out a different way to attack this.
Oh, Shy is Tracer, yeah. Shy is Tracer, true. I think Shy is more of the traditional hit scan, but he's also quite good. Again, they're setting up the off angle. It gets kited out by Crazy Raccoon. Can they get the kill on Lucio? No, they cannot. That forces an early Cardiac. Both teams have traded cooldowns, and now we'll probably see Raccoon come back in with the Kitsune. There's Cardiac, there's Kitsune, there's a beat engage and a BAP window used to layer. Junbin actually misses the follow-up. Beat engage committed on top of that. This messy ult fight going really messy, but he doesn't. And like, this is the thing. If you don't get through BAP window and on top of the BAP will ruin you. And right now, Raccoon seems like there was a little bit of a miscommunication with the initial burst. And this is not going to work. They do get the angle on BAP, and they do pop the blade.
assisting on the kill.
So what ends up basically happening there is just ultimate differential, where they just use one more ultimate. That's all. But the initial setup there for Falcons was, I think, better.
Able to finish out that fight so that they are able to just keep this progress going for Crazy Raccoon. They have to invest so much.
No, the ball comp was definitely planned, yeah.
Junbin gonna have the cage very soon. Not a whole lot to be able to pair with.
All right, well, let's see what happens here from Crazy Raccoon. They're gonna have to do something kind of saucy here. I like this little rotation here. Catch. He catches it. They need to focus. They combo cage fight plus cage fight. I like this commit from Crazy Raccoon. It's a good rotation for Falcons to set things up. But honestly, Crazy Raccoon just catches them immediately. Meets them right in the corner. It's just 2 ults for 1. This is the one uninteresting part about this composition, is because there's not as many angle setups. It's more of a kind of a group up and run it down. There's not a lot of fights where like the team that wins is like unexpected. You could pretty much read the ult bank and have a pretty good guess as to who's gonna win, because there's no ways that you could cheat the system with map control, right? You can't like, oh, we're down 2 ults, so I'm gonna have my Cassidy hard flanker, my Genji hard, it's just you're not gonna kill anybody. So like, it's basically just whoever has the ult advantage generally wins, with the exception of like being able to kite out ultimates. But I actually think kiting out ultimates is also kind of hard here too. That to me is like the real flaw. It's not just the lack of angles. It's the lack of angles that makes it so predictable about who's gonna win. It's not always true, of course. There's still a lot of mechanical expression here, but like, unless Chio builds beat, Crazy Raccoon should 90% win this fight. Even with the Tracer. Kitsune, Cardiac for Cardiac. Run is forced. Deflect is used in front of the Cardiac lifesteal. They pop it with Venture ult, and then Pulse Bomb should really seal this. Beat is used in time. Beat is used the layer on top of that. And then Pulse Up should finish this Cardiac. Yeah, that's it, right? It's just layering. It's just layering. That's all it is. Like, it still takes decent communication and setup and timing, of course, but there's no surprises here. It's this for this, gave them an advantage in cooldowns, which then forced this, but then they used this, and so then they win. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. About 85% of the time. I agree, Anthony. It just makes more clutch fights, because people will do more like weird things to try and win fights. Introduces just an ingredient of chaos, and I know some coaches don't like that, but I always feel like the ingredient of chaos takes brains. I think that being able to recognize ult disadvantages and come up with creative plays is an intelligent strategic aspect of the game in of itself, right? There's a very famous Age of Empires 2 player called MBL, and he's very famous at tournaments for his alternative and weird strategic side of things. He doesn't always like play the meta the way it's supposed to be played, but the way that he does it is like takes a lot of like creativity and cleverness and a lot of like high level of execution, right? You can't. He's not necessarily a cheese character. You don't cheese things at this high of a level, right? It takes a remarkable ability of skill to be able to pull this off. It's like calling Junkrat a cheese character in bronze versus calling Junkrat a cheese character in top 500, right? It's like apples and oranges, right? And I think that that's kind of like what the angles and map control allow you to do. Stuff like this, right? Stuff like this, right? Cardiac is forced. Did they have Cardiac? I actually don't even know. I don't know if Junbin has Cardiac or not. He should. They should be able to run through this. There's the Suzu being used. They run through it. Blade. But yeah, it's like, it's not even like, let's not even call it Dragon Blade. It's Cardiac Blade. It's Malga Blade is what it is. And I think it's like, it's fun. It can be fun to watch, but it is like, it is a lot less satisfying. It's a Malga Blade, you know? Yeah. I don't think it was a bad meta. It just wasn't the most interesting meta. Like, you look at this fight here, and the only problem for Falcons is touching point. Because besides that, they have the advantage in every single way, and I don't think that there's a map control way outside of Pulse Bomb. It has to be Pulse Bomb here. But the problem is the fielder has Kiriko, so there's no surprises there either.
Once again, to save this for quite some time at this point, just focusing down the back line. They could be trying to turn around. A swift step from fielder to get out of the way. Lip actually ends up going down. A drill dash out of nowhere. Lip completely caught off guard.
It's a good play. I will say that. But like this, you just Malga cage on point and that's it. GG's. Like Crazy Raccoon played that one well. They really tried to buy time for their ultimates, but they just couldn't. Oh, wait, what is going on here? So they actually kite the fight out. Falcons goes, hey, let's chase staggers. They're down one. Let's go. Lips and spawn. Stalker goes a little early. Malga is used. Cardiac is used. Cardiac is used. They say, yo, we can freaking run over this Venture because they don't have Burrow anymore. Let's get the Venture. Stalker presses Q. Desperately needs Suzu here. Gets it, but gets it through cage fight. So then they mirror cage fight. And then Proper says, okay, let's combo. And then Raccoon goes, no, we're going to Kitsune this. And if we look at this, I don't remember this fight, but Falcons should win this one, I think. But it's going to be close, only because they have a mana advantage. It's 3 for 3, but mana advantage. Yeah, that's it. So it's just like, again, it's like, we can literally just like read the ult thing and know who's going to win, you know? It's like, I'm not, no, it's not happening, Saint. I have been Twitch immune. I say, in my brain, it's a sneezing joke. Not working.
As soon as they lay down that cage, they know they've got that big combo to back them up. It's an easy win.
So yeah, it takes some of the guesswork out of things, you know? You're the first one? Of course I'm the first one. I'm the GOAT. Again here, Falcons, basically 0 chance to win this fight if you're Raccoon. Unless Lip somehow manages to force Suzu, or they manage to force Suzu and they get a pulse. Because there's beat Kitsune and they have nothing. Now that would be the play even without this meta, but it's even more so with this meta. You're leaving? Peace, dude. Good off angle here from Tracer. Like, the off angle is good. Like, it's good. They're waiting for the full commit. Because do you notice the hesitancy from Falcons? They really don't want to get their ults kited. So they're, like, really cautious to pop this. And interestingly enough, they actually commit with beat. Now, I don't know why. They must have seen... Yeah, they just go for Chorong. Like, they must have seen Chorong use, like, Amp or something. Or, like, Stalker's like, let's go in. Because, like, you can see Stalker staging there. And so they go directly for Chorong. Very punishing meta for main supports. Good disengage from Crazy Raccoon. They need to keep running. This is way too, like... I think you just lose this fight. Oh, they're going to commit here. They're going to commit a man down. And they're going to commit with Blade. Blade, Kitsune. I don't think the Blade should work. It doesn't work. Yeah. I think Flashpoint's okay. I can understand people's problems with it, but most of the problems with Flashpoint, in my opinion, are quality of life. Basically running back from spawn. So, does he saying play Echo for the rest of this part? So let's talk about a little bit about Echo. So, Echo is really good versus Malga. A lot of damage. It's a good copy. You could very easily whittle him down. She's also a little bit hard to track, so it's not very easy to punish her, and you can't slam her. The other thing with Echo as well is that, well, the main thing why you might not see as much Echo is that there's not as much of, like, she doesn't benefit as much from the lifesteal, right? And so the angles that she might take might not really give her cardiac. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It definitely feels like maybe them trying to find a solution versus the Genji Venture, because it's the same thing as the Pharah, where in theory, the Echo should be mostly untouchable while still providing some value here. I'm curious to see if how much Echo was experimented in, because on paper, this character could function in this brawl comp. Like, there's not many characters that could work with this. Echo is one of them. This might be a bit of a hot take. Maybe the Translocator is too bad of a defensive cooldown, but I wonder how Sombra would have functioned with lifesteal on a short off angle. Like Sombra 76. Obviously, not a lot of these guys are going to be like Sombra goats, or certainly like Lip hates the new Sombra, I know. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Why not Pharah? I think Pharah's not going to do as well as like a Genji, Venture, Tracer, Echo on a map where you have to move around a lot. Because she can move, but she's still not quite their level of mobility. But I think really Genji, Venture, Echo, kind of Tracer, depending if the map's broad enough to get value out of off angles, and maybe Sombra, maybe. I don't think there's really anything else that could have worked here.
He's saying, thinking about the Echo to attack this next one.
No, I haven't. I've kind of talked on. Yes, I talked about the start of this map, Lexa. To me, the biggest reason why Sombra wasn't played was because these guys haven't played Sombra in forever. That's it. There is also the shout that maybe Sombra Translocated wasn't a good enough of a defensive cooldown to prevent her from dying if being focused. Like, there's a chance that they could have just chased and pursued Sombra Translocator. Armor changes could be as well. Yes.
Going over to Ducks, a little bit more area that you can play around here with this Echo, but you're hoping that the sticky bombs would be enough to maybe pull this Smurf down with this high health pool.
Yeah, I mean, you can copy the enemy Malga too if you really want to. Get the double.
But you kind of see what I'm saying? Like, it feels like you do so much damage, but then they just press Cardiac, and then you just don't do any damage, even though you're on this great off angle, right? And then you end up having to shift out the second they sneeze at you. It just doesn't feel good with the Echo right now. What happens here? I think Falcons maybe just over pushes. What causes Falcons to push here? I'm actually kind of confused why they pushed. They don't have an advantage. They don't have a... Yeah, it's not good. Junbin still had his cardiac. Junbin still had his run. It's just this is an NA hive mind moment from Falcons. So even though the Echo doesn't do that much, it does put Smurf without cooldowns in the middle of nowhere. That's a poor decision from Falcons. That's a really poor push from Falcons. No Qs there to justify that push at all.
No shields. And there's a big target for Echo to fire those stickies in.
Hey, what's up, Qualify?
Shreds any large HP bar. Oh, Chio.
That into the Malga, and it's not bad to be able to clean
What would you get out of Sombra? Consistent high, medium range, short range damage, and EMP. EMP is the most powerful ultimate in this entire composition. Shuts down everything. Obviously, Beat you can play around it with Beat, but playing around it with Beat in this economy would be really hard. Very easy to Ajax Lucio. So yeah. Off angle poke for the Venture. They respond with Kitsune. They respond with Cardiac. They kite it out entirely. That's a good trade. That's a good trade. They're going to have Cardiac back by the time that they push, but getting Venture ult for Kitsune, especially when you're going through a choke, great trade. Now, what Falcons should do here is they should Kitsune and then try to hold their ground, because I think there's a chance that Raccoon tries to beat engage this. They might even double cage fight. Oh, they just go. And they go for an Ajax. They commit their beat, and they focus Chora. Oh, man. I'm surprised they even committed the beat at the blade. I guess it's just because of the Echo, but yeah. Again, it's 2 + 1 equals... Or 2 is better than 1, you know? I just don't think he liked the whole virus concept, to be honest with you. You also have to understand that the type of person to be absolutely insane at old Sombra is probably going to really like old Sombra, so any change is going to be for the negative. It's like if they reworked Moira. All the hardcore top 500 Moira one-tricks may not like it, so... Early Cardiac, early Cage, mirrored with Kitsune. I mean, in theory, Junbin should just melt here. The defensive deflect is used, and Junbin melts. 2 is better than 1. Cryptic Reclaimer, thank you for the sub. Has Sombra ever been played in pro level? I don't think so. He might just like Translocator as well, Alexa. I don't remember, frankly.
So much extra damage, and you've trapped everybody in there with you. You can't back away from any of that.
Okay, beat engage from Crazy Raccoon. I assume will probably be on Chio. They look like they're holding very early. They're trying. They see the attempt on the Ajax there, guys. This meta is wild, man. They want that. Oh my days! And so that should be a fight win there. They can flip the map certainly. Cardiac is used. Heesing is kind of on an island though. Heesing is on an island, so they're gonna lose point. But can Heesing get out? The answer is yes. They have high ground here. Are they just gonna force point and then use Venture ult on the floor. He's saying is exposed. Oh my days. They caught Geo. Cardiac for Cardiac. Junbin's in. They catch it. And this is messy. They have to worry about point here. I think that's it. Yeah.
It's 3 seconds before it came back up, and that would be Crazy Raccoon taking.
Does it start
Yeah,
here?
it's good.
Flashpoint. Crazy Raccoon with that Flashpoint win now get a chance. Easy way for them to be able to get into the mix, but this proper blade, this sound.
So let's look at this fight here. Beat Blade, Kitsune, Copy. Should be a pretty close fight here. The Pulse Bomb is the wild card for sure, obviously. But the other underrated wild card here is if there's an Ajax here, how much can they keep the Lucios up? Either team could lose their Lucio here. Kitsune, slam. Smurf is low. There's the deflect. Smurf runs out. Stalker gets caught, and there's the wild card. They're able to pulse post run Suzu and Cardiac. It's a pretty cheap fight win. Even 2 ults for 0 there is okay because one of those is pulse bomb.
There you go. There's the point.
Really nice first capture here for Crazy Raccoon so that they can play.
And then now Raccoon has to play like super ganky, but again, like we talked about, the problems with that is like there's just not a lot of space here. So I assume Stalker actually goes Tracer. Again, the reason they're going Tracer is just the point. It's just so big, right? Like it's hard to get value out of Ventura in this particular point.
Right outside of this.
Early. What are they looking for? I do not understand what they're looking for here. They're early Cardiac from Junbin. They're baiting the beat engage, I think, but that's just not gonna. Oh, that was almost really good. That was almost really good. So I think this is on purpose. I think they actually waste Cardiac to try and bait them to push, and it works. The problem is they just don't quite get out far enough. So beat is used, but they've already run. Then they blade. He gets booped. Chorong just gets caught in rotation there. I actually think if you're Crazy Raccoon, you're pretty happy with that trade outside of the Echo Copy being really tough. But again, 2 is better than 1.
Focused. Crazy Raccoons. I think isolate Junbin.
I actually can't think of the last time that we had a team with old advantage lose a fight.
Yeah, but as soon as you saw Crazy Raccoon try to back up after overextending.
I don't think it's been almost this. I mean, I can't even. I mean, maybe first point, maybe the last map.
Just take that aggression to the flashpoint to get this control. Cage now. No.
Again, this should be just. Well, actually, there is beat here. I think Kitsune cage fight is better than Kitsune or Blade cage fight, frankly. Because I think between Cardiac and Suzu, you can't kill people fast enough for beat to be. Okay, Lip just freaking dies. Does Lip get caught? Like, Lip literally gets one shot. What happens here? Oh no, Stalker. Am I blind? I'm stupid, chat. No, he catches Stalker, who gets a one shot. Then there's Beat. Then there's Kitsune. There's the deflect again. Cardiac. Pulse Bomb does land. So that is the wild card there, but it gets Suzu'd. And they just don't quite get it. Yeah. So Kitsune is just a little bit better if you can keep it. Now, I will say that was a little bit sketchy for Crazy Raccoon because a lot of them were in that cage fight. Or a lot of, for Falcons, excuse me. But yeah. Yeah, the beat didn't hit everybody. I think it was the cage fight blocked it off. All right, Raccoon's got a touch.
They're going to tie up the series. Stalker, hunting, jumping, coming back on the wrecking ball to get back to the flashpoint fast enough.
Gets the touch, but yeah, look at the rest of his team.
And they're going to hard commit on backline here. And they catch Lucio. So they're willing to give up point just to flip, and that's going to be it. Okay, I mean, pretty good performance there from Crazy Falcons. I mean, their comp definitely seemed to work. I think they were forcing Lip. Like, they basically, like, here's what Crazy or Falcons tries to do, I think. They try to pick the map where you're kind of forcing Lip to play Tracer. And if you're playing Tracer in the Malga comp, it just doesn't feel that good. It just doesn't. It's not that Lip is a bad tracer. Lip's a good tracer. It's just not the best hero pick, right? And the problem is that the map there isn't friendly enough to Cassidy. There's not enough space for the Cassidy to work. He just gets committed on over and over and over again. At least that's the theory. And Crazy Raccoon or Falcons seems to be the only team that has the hero pool to consistently pull out like the Genji Venture. And so that's basically what ends up happening. Is I think that the Genji Venture might be the best, at least from what we understand, it might be the best combo for that for if the map's congested, and Crazy Raccoon doesn't have the hero pools to pull that off. And to be fair, you can't just pick up Venture, you know? Like he's saying is playing Venture at a really high level right now. Yeah, I keep messing up the words, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Any questions so far? I'm gonna eat a few bites of food, get up and walk around for a few seconds, and then we'll keep going. Huh. Nice, Stefano. Hard to say. I have a bad habit where I will forget player summations. Like I'll just look at the gameplay. I'll basically narrate it, but then I just like forget of like who did bad and who did good. Nothing major has stood out in the Amalgam era too much. Like you could hold me at gunpoint and tell me why Falcons won the last map. And besides the fact that I would say Crazy Raccoon hero pool very awkward. The Tracer wasn't working as much. The Echo wasn't working as much. They lost a couple of messy ult fights. Nothing immediately comes to mind. You know what I'm saying? I definitely feel like the Lip goofiness with the Cassidy was taking me off on the Oasis thing. But I felt like Crazy Raccoon... So, here's what I will say. For the most part, the teams that should be winning fights are winning them. And it feels like for the first two maps, it feels like, honestly, a compositional advantage is why teams are winning this. Like, Raccoon being able to pull out the Pharah was a big deal. Right? Having enough space to run Cassidy was a big deal. I don't think that Genji Venture is bad, and just you could have run space to run Cassidy. Like, Lip won them City Center. Even the Hog Cheese worked well, right? Whereas now in the previous round, having Genji Venture, just like Tracer just did nothing. Like Tracer just did very little that round, even in terms of distraction value, and the same thing goes with Echo. You know, so if you want the easy answer, hero pools and Falcons being unable to adapt on New Junk City, unable to make it work. Because I think that the overall layering of ultimates, ult for ult for ult for ult for ult, has been fairly predictable for the most part, with very minor changes. I think the Smurf commit, I do remember that one Smurf commit on New Junk City where there was no real reason for them to commit. They should have held their space. That one was really bad. That one was probably the worst thing that we've seen so far in terms of like Smurf's mistakes, but even that wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. All right, I'm going to get a little bit more water, and then we'll keep going. Be right back, y'all. Now, this I will say, this one's going to be juicy. This one's going to be juicy. Yeah, so I think like you can also question, you know, Falcons' map choice there, because they left them wide open for a dive mirror that they were clearly not comfortable with. I can think of, so I'm spoiler alert here. We're gonna get into a Malga attack from Falcons, okay? And I can see no reason why that would be played outside of the fact that they had bad scrim bucks on first point. Because the concept of like forcing point with Malga is bad strategy. Like it's not even like it's terrible strategy because Malga can't do that. If you had Ryan, even Sigma, you could do that because you have some form of damage mitigation at a range, right? You have the shield, right? You could just force point. The problem is Malga doesn't have that. And especially when you're playing versus an Anna Cassidy, it's literally impossible to force point. It's not a reasonable strategy. London was really good at this map because they played with Mei, Ryan, and they're really good at pushing point because there's a lot of mitigation there. Malga does not have mitigation. Malga has active mitigation. He has to be engaged, shooting, using cover. Standing in the open, you're never going to be able to force cart with Malga lose. It's not even like, oh, well, they played it wrong. No, it is impossible to force cart with Malga comp unless Malga just is like way overbuffed. It was a terrible idea. I know a lot of people were giving them grief with the Life Weaver Pharah, but I actually think the Life Weaver Pharah, there was some logic and there was some theory there. They just overran it. And I actually talked with Krusty about that. I think, I don't know if we'll get to that today. Yeah, so I talked with Krusty about the Life Weaver Pharah, and he's like, yeah, we stayed on it too long. They messed up, right? But it was logic here. This is stupid. This is just stupid. There's just no way to sugarcoat it. It's a stupid strategy. The only reason I could see this one being pulled out is because they literally had no chance to win the dive. If that's the case, though, then they should have picked Escort as their second map pick and not Flashpoint. So really, it doesn't matter what way you paint it. The coaches from Falcons screwed up. Because if you're this scared of the dive mirror in Gibraltar, you need to be picking Escort as your map choice. And let Flashpoint be as it may. It's just not a good strat. No, it's the OPR design. Ryan and Sig. I don't think Arissa's better than Malga because she could Javelin spin and Fortify. And she could, Ram is okay. Yeah. So, anyway, let's take a look here. Dive mirror. A lot of high ground. No, not Doom. A lot of high ground. A lot of space. This is a classic Gibraltar comp on a Brig. Brig to deny the dive stuff to enable her DPS. Winston, because Winston's good. Winston's good at diving. Winston's bubble allows you to play around on a Brig better than other dive tanks. And then Widow is very popular just because first point is so broad. You can control a lot of space with Widowmaker just by controlling and shooting. Tracer, a lot of the time, is either to dive high ground or to force cart. Now, interestingly enough, for a while, I think a lot of Korean teams were playing Echo to try and dive high ground, and we saw a little bit of that, but I think when you play Echo, you lose a lot of cart push because Echo can't push cart without getting shot. She's not sustained and mobile enough. So, okay, they do go Echo, okay. So it's kind of an interesting dichotomy here of like, do you want to prioritize cart or do you want to prioritize diving the high ground with your verticality of your Echo? Because that's something that Echo has. So let's go. A little bit of an early bubble. Kind of surprised to see Junbin use bubble here, I'm not going to lie. That seems irresponsible there. Isolating that there is just pointless because he's already disengaged.
But Proper's going to make that so difficult to do if you peek your head out if you're saying you could just come clean off.
Zion, I talked with Chris and he said that they really don't want people sharing OPR stuff. So I'm going to do you a favor and turn you down. I appreciate the offer though. I was hoping somebody from Faceit or somebody else would message me, but I heard from Chris that they really were like not wanting to share it. So it's like, okay, fine. I'll respect their wishes even if it is a little silly.
Use the grapple to get away. Lip taking the high ground now, looking at blue box.
Hoping that Proper's going to be right
controlling
there.
High ground here.
There's no way.
And this to me is like this is like the advantage of like the Echo, right? It's like, it means it means in theory that you have a lot more pressure up in these top boxes that more than Tracer can provide. So in theory, it can get you high ground control. The problem is it just doesn't really solve how to push card.
Very forward front line, back line as well.
Kiri Monkey Dive doesn't work very well here because the map's too broad. The map is way too broad. Think of this as like, for lack of a better term, more of like a slow shuffling poke dive because it's a very high ground oriented map with long sightlines. Kiriko is more of like, you're going to have like these shorter, tighter sightlines where you can move around a lot more. Whitaker. Every time I see that, I see White Acre.
Pretty much. He's saying just
Bubbles used, trying to control backline. At the same time, Stalker takes the angle here. So notice that, by the way, that Chio is actually split, right? Just a little bit from the Ana. So then now they're in a position to actually stage from here. They go for the nade up top and then miss the nade.
Point. Slowly but surely now, Crazy Raccoon making the way up.
There's the jump on the Widow. Proper grapples out. Trade backline on a brig controlled. Sleep onto Smurf. No, they missed the nade. He jumps. No, he doesn't miss the nade. He dies. In the meantime, though, they're using this pincer here or on the card. I can't tell which. Falcons is using this to actually go and kill.
Oh, Leech actually hits his head. 47 HP. Purple.
He's dead.
He's got one. Oh, hello, shoot. What's up?
But it's good distraction. It's good space control there.
Not every day you see an Ana take out a Winston, that's for sure. But the cart stops there for Crazy Raccoon. They have to go back to the drawing board, come out of spawn with some options. Stalker.
Nano advantage for Falcons. Pretty big deal. Primal advantage, pulse advantage, all pretty important here. Relatively minor.
First Nano.
Ooh, Lip.
Good pick from Lip. Sights.
And so what that means is not just that Proper's dead, but because Proper's dead, Echo could totally disrespect the enemy monkey, basically fly out in the open. He's got to be careful of Ana, but it's a lot less scary. So you could get way more aggressive on Smurf. There's the nade on a fielder. Smurf honestly kind of needs to disengage here. He really needs to be careful. He wants to hold the space. He's going to primal this. He's got to be careful of Tracer, the pocket. And he gets greedy. Did they not have Nano? They don't have Nano. And Nano Winston kills Echo. Gets slapped, doesn't matter. Pincer trade. Nano is used, doesn't matter.
It's all Stalker. Double pulse bomb kill.
Oh, sure.
Got Nano on the point. Not sure you're going to live to see another day.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately. What a defense so far.
So huge timing on the Nano there. Crazy Raccoon didn't get their Nano until too late. They actually didn't get the Nano until Heesung was already dead. Otherwise, Nano Heesung there and you win that fight.
Good opposition to practice them into as well. Crazy Raccoon having so much trouble to get
Clip gets another opening pick. That's one of the tricky things about playing Tracer here is that the Widow could peek top, but Widow can also peek under on cart. So you have to be careful from so many different sight lines. And that again allows them to walk forward, and now you have Winston on backline with Primal Rage. And so now Proper actually has to be... Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. That's an absurd shot. What?
Bubble on the high ground. Oh, Proper. Look at disappointment in Lip's face there. Thought he could win the
I don't know why he grappled this way. I guess their backline's kiting out this way, so it's alright. There's Primal. Sleep is used. They're going to try and rally stun chain him. Yeah, check this out, y'all. Check this out. Sleep, headshot, nade, clip. Bash the jump. He actually saves jump so that he doesn't get stunned out of it. But it doesn't matter, he's dead. Lip says, screw this, and goes Cassidy. Great kill on Proper, though, because so while he dies, Heesung takes the high and ends up killing Widow. So now Heesung's in a good position to copy. He's got to copy Winston. Great staging, deep dive there. Totally zones out backline. They're looking for sleep dart. That's a ridiculous sleep dart. They get it, but they're still zoning backline here. Backline trade. And that's it.
With a nice position there from Shu sitting in server room. There's basically free reign over this point now. Smurf so low. No.
So the problem there is that you basically used Rally to secure a kill on a primaling Raging Monkey, but then you lost your Widow in the process.
Player disadvantage. That extra bit of sustain enough to be able to keep Crazy Raccoon in that fight.
Nobody does
that might stop them. That might stop them in their tracks for just a little bit. But yeah, this duel between Fielder and Shu right now on these Anas, so clinical to be able to use these sleeps, use those nades, finish up all of these picks. And the pulse.
What was that? Not even a flinch on his face. Does this stuff every...
Nano on Winston on the trade. Might be risky, though. They do get trades. It's messy. It's messy. Proper should die.
Fine, don't worry. We've got another hard carry on the team, too. The Stalker chasing down Junbin. It will be Smurf finishing him off.
It's a decent trade. It's a decent trade. They're going to be able to make this rotation for free. which is important. They were able to get enough backline trades here to where I think they're going to be able to rotate their backline in. Yes. So it's a very mess. Obviously, the nano there, it's like, oh, they didn't end up winning the fight. But what it did is it got a couple of trades so that they can actually make this rotation for free. And this is important, especially when you're running the Cassidy, because it's like the Cassidy is basically built to aggressively kind of rotate and look for his angles, but not these long sightlines. Not these long sightlines. And so because of the nano wasted, they're actually able to get their backline for free.
Can help to stall them for a little bit more.
Wipe them off the payload.
Risky stuff there.
Ah, that's a goof up.
Helped with the kill. Sad looking bubble.
That's messy there.
Just lays asleep as the rest of his team are putting it to go box. Crazy Raccoon just wiped, and yeah, trouble for Crazy Raccoon.
Doesn't feel comfortable
Okay.
being able to take that Widow.
Now the rotation might be a little bit painful because we might have a Nano Monkey in that rotation. So the way to deal with Nano Monkey in the rotation is to try and have some cart pressure first, or to pressure the monkey out first.
To help a little bit here, but it's going to be so tough to actually try to.
So they're going to try and poke him out before the backline rotates because it's very difficult to get that rotation. He's looking for the Nano. Ooh. Now this is odd. I don't know where Chorong was. Or Chio, excuse me. I think Chio...
A little bit shorter range than this Widow.
I don't know where Chio is. This should have been whipped. I think Chio might have been maybe packing proper or stalker. But this dive gets a ton of value. Lands directly on Fielder. Gets the sleep dart. Gets the nade. Gets the shield bash. And now the nano on the rotation is gone.
Narrowly missed sleep.
Look at that. And he's just going to keep going.
Fortunately ended up hitting the bubble.
That's a huge
There's the
problem.
rage. Everybody off the high ground now. As Junbin tries
And that's even going to force a defensive rally.
to juggle this honor, but looks like he's gonna have to.
And look at that, right? Like, yes, they trade primals, but you force rally.
Two very angry Winstons
Oh, Chorong, or then proper just hits the shot. 1 for 1. Rotation is completed.
Just hiding in this bubble. Oh, Stalker.
Proper hits Heesang, I guess. 180 jump there. Nice little bit of strafing there from Junbin. Has to get the shot there.
Go into those.
And the rotation is completed. Bro, I'm telling you guys, this map, Dive Mirrors, bro, back in the day in 2022, this was the good kush. You get what I'm saying? This map, dude, it was so detail-oriented and complicated, especially at the highest level, to like get all these rotations and then the ult chains and everything. It was a complicated map, man. It was a complicated map. This and Eichenwald. Eichenwald. I shouldn't. Yeah, I saw the proper shot and Heesang. And proper is just getting kills.
Classic dive too, where you're just.
Proper is literally deadlifting this right now. Like Crazy Falcons, Crazy Raccoon is winning the whole macro thing. They're setting up their engages better. They're winning the ult trades. It's literally proper deadlifting right now. It's literally he's just handing them fight wins.
That's how they sealed the deal last time around.
He's literally handing them fight wins.
That'll be available until OT ticks. 10 seconds to go and Proper
This is a little
takes such
silly,
poor position.
but I get it. If they get one kill here, it's probably GG's.
Down, and Proper can just play here, just be
Now the ult situation here.
Your team are going to get annihilated. Junbin finally finding the kill onto Proper and Nanoboost onto Smurf as he jumps to the back line.
Does Smurf not have bubble?
Junbin finally finding the kill
That's kind of a that sleep is a big deal. That sleep is a really big deal. Because they're going to be able to stabilize on cart. Smurf's jump is also pretty crappy there. Nano is in. He jumps the Tracer. Maybe not the best. I guess he didn't have bubbles, so he's scared to go backline there. Smurf gets isolated with 95% on primal. Yeah, Smurf beefs this one. Smurf beefs this one. Smurf beefs this one. Starting with the Nano. That was a beef.
They're going to claim second.
That later nano boost perfect and everything that the
I think Raccoon just better. Better in terms of like the timing, the rotations, all that kind of stuff.
Able to win out in all of these damage trades. But it comes down to this high ground setup here from Team Falcons. Wants to take that away in the
Tank gap? Maybe. Hard to say.
Smurf set up there on that left-hand side.
I don't know if it's Smurf's fault, a lot of stuff, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely let's put it this way, the dive macro, like controlling space, timing the rotations and stuff has definitely been, feels like it's been better for Raccoon. It really just feels like proper hands up a couple of fight wins, and
Grapple online.
Heesang's got a little PTSD.
duck if he doesn't have this grapple online.
Wait, who woke him up?
But he is kind of a sitting duck if he doesn't have this grapple online.
I don't know what happened there. I think Chorong woke him up. Chorong? You better peel this off. Dang it, dude. I think Chorong just fed there. I think Chorong just fed here. This is a disgusting primal. I'm not gonna lie. That is a disgusting primal. I think Chorong woke him up. I think Chorong woke him up. Coaching thing? I mean, guys, let's not come up with like people to blame here. We don't know. Nobody knows. I have no insight on
Now
this.
30 seconds left for Crazy Raccoon. One more chance at being able to make any more progress on this card.
Yeah, the primal there was insane.
Nothing left in the tank either except for this rally, so they're gonna have to try to play close together. But Team Falcons, they're pushed so far forward right now, knowing that they have the rally of their own, and this nano boost too if things get rough.
I have the secrets for... Yeah. So, let's look at this fight really quick here. So, double supportal, pulse bomb, and sights. I think sights goes hard here because it's really, really useful for setting up, just getting a little bit of initial space. So, it's double supportal for both sides. But I think Falcons has a definitely, obviously, ult charge advantage here and also positional advantage. Early bubble is used. Rally is used. Nano on Winston. Rally is good. I honestly, guys, sometimes it's just so hard to follow professional Overwatch. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. Smurf is in. Chorong responds with Rally. They kite it out. Shook. Oh no. Okay, so the mistake here is some freaking how Shu gets isolated here and somehow gets jumped on the double jump. I think Shu just missed sleep dart. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I think Shu just missed sleep dart. I think Shu just missed sleep dart. He dies with nano. Doesn't even have bubble. I think he just whiffed.
Mega health pack stolen by Stalker as well. Junbin with a primal rage, but I think it might be too little too late for that angry Winston. He's stalling out time here. There's not really much.
There's the nano from spawn. Oh, that's such a nice little combo there. And there's C9. Yeah. Not Junbin's fault. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. I'm gonna eat my lunch. And I'm gonna tell you guys that this composition has no high ground map control. It has no way to force point. It has bad ult economy. And it's not even necessarily on character strengths. Not their hero strengths. So you're strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. You're bad versus the comp. You're bad on the map. You don't have any way to force point or win through ults. And you're not even playing the characters that you're necessarily best at. That's all. Let's enjoy.
Thinking about at this very moment, seeing the dive on the other side, going to lean into the venture even though it's going to be more difficult with this verticality.
Drew dash to get up onto the high ground, but you don't want to do that at all. You want to use that to get away, maybe isolate.
No. Let's do this.
A kill. Dash straight into burrow once more. A lot of information gained, and your presence too is sometimes enough to force a rotation. Get your chance to take down your 1v1 I mentioned previously.
But they got a chance to play together, they're gonna play around the far, make Crazy Raccoon once again. They're still gets around it, though, so it's gonna be important for Team Falcons to play around all the ways that Crazy Raccoon have. Look at that ability now blocking the Winston. Think about that. Think about these sleep darts as well from Shu. These made something off the table.
That's a pretty much very well. Nash Golden never a long time off. Probably taking the out, but also able to use that doesn't need to use it. Six spot for the 1v1. A rare sight of a hole.
The card is still moving. And now drops down with the bubble. Forced to contest.
It's so frustrating to play. It's your dementia. Any other ability skills, you basically sit there and your hitbox is a bit large, some of the other DPS as well. So, especially to let your only hit so much.
Down there too is taking another stop in this attack push for Team Falcons. Also, Ripple makes something else of this. It was another elimination for them. But Crazy Raccoon, they got 5 ults that they're coming up to. So how are Team Falcons actually able to get this done when they are just a key member? This isn't working. The access to the backline is too difficult. You can outplay around the Paladin too. How strong can they actually get on the shoes? You can't. You're playing around the box, and this Venture doesn't have great access to get up there. It allows you.
I wonder if they regret their decision now playing spot. They got a long ult to do, one stop block. With a minute and 30 seconds to go. Hail Mary here, they do throw everything in a 4 opportunity.
The Junbin now.
Vampire available for Geo hit. Smurf it, Smurf it, up. Additional shield in there, Ilios paying off.
Still have a chance here. A bit left. This thing is a false spot.
He's going to on there. Rally on the high ground to counteract that rush. This is blue box like, oh, right. Bit pushed off the side of the high ground by Stalker. But luckily, they managed to follow it up with other kills. Crazy Raccoon's defense. Impenetrable.
It's so strong. And they've also been able to limit so many options that Team Falcons have in terms of being able to get this damage down. Robert just now switching over to the Widowmaker. And Stalker has left on the bench to go to this Tracer. But it feels like it's too late to get. With 30 seconds left, Smurf has the cage, but where is he going to actually be landing? Who are you launching at when everybody has the ability to go away? Right now. Jump onto the high ground. He's on 10 to rest their team. You can see Smurf is Johnson so tough for him. Can't get up the mountain. In the most unfair 1v1 history. Nice headshot from Junbin. Wants to bubble the lead. Pulse bomb is starting to get Suzu. So Team Falcons, well, they put the cage down. Now they still need to deal with Junbin. Primal Rage available. Charlie shoots from survive. Now Boost and the rally in their sights. And with Geo dead, there's a whole lot less needed available. Junbin rejoins the fire. So let's shoot. Oh, this push from Team Falcons. It's all falling apart. Crazy Raccoon.
Okay,
I say you.
moving on.
It's tough, man. I mean, they switched over to the market at the very end.
I mean, for me, this is a good sign, right? I remember back has so far been devastating and Lip.
It's really important, something we don't really talk about.
I can imagine.
Bro, how am I going to praise the Raccoon's dive when you're not getting contested at all? That's like praising Dwayne The Rock's RKO technique on a literal newborn child. There's no ult threat. There's no map control threat. There's no poke threat. There's nothing. You could have inserted a tier 3 team playing dive heroes for the first time, and it would have been a full cold. Like, you literally could not possibly play a worse comp. Like, actually, you could not play a worse comp. I actually now I'm curious. Is there a worse comp that you could play there? I guess you could have run Tracer. You could have swapped Tracer to like Torb. Maybe would have been worse, or like a Reaper. I actually don't think you could have. It would have been challenging to play a worse comp than that. Queen, yeah, Queen could have been a little worse. That's true. Queen would have been a little worse than Malga. That's true. So like Queen Reaper, maybe? No, I think Doom would have been better. I think Doom would have been bad, but Doom would have like been slightly better. I think Moira would have been better. That's worse. That's true. I think like Queen, Moira, Lucio, Reaper, Venture. It's actually challenging. Like, you could have had a random composition generator and had a 95% chance to come up with a better composition.
But as we head into the gates, Crazy.
Okay, yeah, nothing really to add there. Just Falcons hit the cush, you know? Just terrible. Back to dive again. Back to dive, back to brawl dive, back to Malga stuff. Now you're gonna notice here that obviously the elephant in the room here is this. Now, Crazy Raccoon doesn't want to play Malgamir if they can avoid it. They're not bad at Malgamir, but as we already talked about, they don't have what is probably the optimal Malgamir DPS lineup. So they want to avoid it when they can. This map is a lot broader. So you can play ball. Now, people go, why is ball? Does ball counter Malga? Not really. You do get a lot of AoE value out of your slams and stuff, but they can live you pretty easily. The reason why people play ball is because it's Junbin, and because ball is really freaking good right now. There's this post-mines buff. This is post-lockout buff. This is the grapple damage buff. This is the toggle. This is the sharing shields. It's everything. Ball is strong. Ball is strong. And so it's only a matter of time before the situation was right and people were going to whip out ball. And this is a phenomenal ball map because there is so much space. And there's a mega here, and there's a mega there, and a mini here, and a mini here, and a mini here, and a mini here, and there's a mini here, and there's a mini here, and there's a mega here, there's a mega here. There's just health packs everywhere, and it's so broad. It's one of the best ball maps in the game. In addition, you look at the situation, you're like, all right, well, there's no DPS that can contest me. That's great. There's no CC at all. That's also great. And then you're going to see the DPS picks complement this as well, right? You have a Sojourn that's going to play a little bit more ranged because it's a very open map and these guys can't touch her. And then the Pharah as well. Again, nothing's going to counter the Pharah here. Now, we might see he's saying, I don't remember how they swapped here, but you could also see Tracer here. Tracer's good in this map, very broad like ball. But this is basically just Crazy Raccoon rolling on their best version of not just a counter comp, but a comp that makes a lot of sense in this map. Ball is broad is better. Winston's tall is better. So yeah, this is good. This is going to be, I think, a skill matchup, right? This is going to be interesting. The only problem here is that the old economy is, I feel like, probably a little bit stronger well, actually, I don't know, because Blade and Venture Ult lose a lot of value. Heck, even Window loses a lot of value versus this composition. I think that what would make the most sense for Raccoon is potentially to go Kiriko as a response, or definitely Tracer. Definitely Tracer. You want to get off of either Genji or Venture, in my opinion.
They don't want to play the mirror. They're going to lean into this Wrecking Ball pick from Junbin alongside this Sojourn from Lip. More hits in for them.
Very close. Of course, a lot of knockback resistance on the tanks, right? But still,
He uses his shields a little early there. That was odd. But yeah, keep your distance is the Raccoon's name of the game. Keep your distance and just constantly disrupt their attempts to close the distance. And this is why you keep your distance. This is why you keep your distance.
Proper on the wrong end of the railgun there. Same with Stalker, wrong end of a boot.
Yeah.
Start from Crazy Raccoon.
Stalker, proper, definitely swap.
Great map here for Sojourn. The desk talked a little bit about how the Cassidy might have some limitations, but with these longer sight lines, the Sojourn can play a little bit farther away. And you can see just how much
Lip's heart rate increases from 30 to 35 beats per minute. Hey, you know what? He timed it off of his ball slam. My guy trusted. Suzu was there.
That bot moving free too. They're looking at the spawn doors right now.
And the Stalker counter swaps, yeah. So now, the Echo looks good. So the Pharah is going to feel a little bit weaker. But the Echo really only does particularly well versus the Pharah. It's not the best versus some of the other characters. And all it takes is the Pharah to go like Tracer, and then now you're in real trouble.
With all of this spam, Team Falcons have already made an adjustment. They can't get there to the checkpoint, though, I don't think. Stalker doesn't want to be able to deal with this.
Again, this open space is a huge problem, and then the fielder's going to swap. Junbin is just absolutely running it down. What? Does fielder get railed?
Stalker doesn't want to be able to deal with this.
Yeah, he just gets rolled. Yeah, it looks like he gets railed or something, because his health takes a chunk. Holy butt cheeks!
Doesn't want to be able to deal with this. Adjustment. They can't.
Look at what Junbin did. Bro, I don't want to look at POVs the whole time. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? If somebody links me the YouTube video, I will look at it. If you guys say it's worth it to pause the review, I will.
I don't think. Stalker doesn't want to be able to deal with this.
Fielder's dead already. Got killed with a grapple of all things. Swung into.
This is disgusting. Like, what the frick, dude? Like, what the frick? Just some wacky ball interactions? All right. That's so ridiculous.
Stalker's now a million pieces all over the snow. Checkpoint already. We're only, what, a minute and 45 seconds into the game, and Crazy Raccoons have a substantial... We're only, what, a minute and 45 seconds into the game, and Crazy...
Yeah, look at Fopper's HP. Bam! All right, what is this? What? He literally gets... Dude, he retracts. I think he retracts. I think he retracts for a faster second double boop. So his grapple's this long. Do you see? And then he retracts it right here. Do you see how tight his grapple is here? So he goes like, woo, woo. So his second boop happens like instantly. What the frick, dude? That's actually pretty cool. I'm okay. All right. I'm glad we looked. That's pretty impressive. I will say it's odd that Fielder didn't regenerative burst this here. Like, even like now, you'd probably regenerative burst, like even before the first boop happened. But yeah, that's pretty disgusting. That's pretty disgusting.
A substantial read. Oh, what's that?
And the proper gets one shot. Literally one shot. Like, literally, like, he timed it.
Another adjustment here. Doesn't want to play.
Ah.
Going back to spawn. Stalker already taking another.
Okay, this is kind of a mistake from Raccoon.
Adjustment here. Doesn't
He
wanna
needs
play.
Suzu there. Junbin misses his slam, and I also don't think they needed to force that push either. I think Heesung was playing like a little bit more proactively here because you just can't play far into this. So especially now that they've gone Sojourn, I think he just goes Tracer.
Little.
It worked though.
Yeah, it was a good try because they're gonna swap immediately anyway, but I think that could have been better timed.
Package for sure. All right, Pop. Now in control of Team
Tracer,
Falcons.
Tracer.
Grasp at
Venture.
straws here.
Okay.
How to control this game.
Venture's all right. You can reach BAP, you can reach Sojourn, so that gives you targets to go with.
Able to get in just the first 2.5 minutes of this game. He's saying,
Mines
keep the venture, play
isolates the BAP.
from Junbin.
BAP's in trouble. The boop.
Fielder, I don't think
Boop one, and he's gone.
in this fight.
Beat allows them to keep get Heesung, and then Kitsune for beat.
Changes are disgusting.
Yeah, it's just 3 ults for 1.
Gio is attempting to survive. Actually, he's like an endangered species. This whole backline from Team Falcons, they're just getting focused out.
Yeah, this is where Malga really struggles.
I mean, what do you do against this?
Because you want to cheat map control, right? And you can cheat map control on a lot of maps, but Crazy Raccoon is pointing out that maybe you can't cheat map control on every map, in every situation. I mean, you saw that with Gibraltar, right? Nice. Because Gibraltar's too big for Malga to work, right?
Suzu can't get out of there. This gets flattened into a pancake.
Kills one, sets up for the next. Kills one, sets up for the next.
Playing pinball back there.
Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. Grabs the mini, builds up a little bit of mines. They're actually looking to disengage this. They're trying to be careful of cage fight, and then this is why Sojourn is played here. This map is so open. Sojourn ult creates so much space. There's the overrun. There's the slide. He misses the cage fight. Ah! That's actually so bad. That's actually so bad. You know he has slide. You know he has slide. You know it.
Oh, slide.
You just have to catch that. Like that's you need to hit that. Like you can hit him on that.
Straight out of the cage too. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a giant shield. Your aim's pretty sick, Lib, but I'm not sure it penetrates surfaces like that.
It's not good, man. Even if they win the fight, it's not good.
This advantageous position. They've got a huge meter lead still.
Heesung just gets slammed.
In these last couple of fights. While they get picked off.
Okay.
Is in the skybox, like attached to one of the buildings.
So, Lip doesn't get what he wants out of Sojourn ult. Smurf doesn't get what he wants out of cage fight, but they win the fight. Now we're going back in with Mines. Mines coming from the left side flank on Coast. Tracer set with the angle. Lucio going with Sojourn, excuse me. Kiriko and Sojourn paired together.
Where do you expect them to go after you drop those ults?
Well, what do Proper and Shawcraft say to say about this?
Sojourn ult used. Suzu used. And Junbin kind of gets scammed. Because there's... Crazy Raccoon just basically kites out and leaves Junbin to die.
Junbin finally killed off. It took them a long time, but
yeah, the Venture is weird. The Venture is really odd. I feel like Heesung would feel a lot better on Tracer here, honestly. Especially now that they've gone Kiriko. I don't think there's a lot that you can reach anymore. Give you your best trombone on defeat impression. Bum, 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 bum.
The time to do it though, but they are starting to.
I give it a 3 out of 10.
Checkpoint for themselves.
Tickles my lips.
Ah. Sound barrier from Chio. It'd be really nice to have.
So, Venture ult from space. Probably gonna try and. I think this is the plan here is to try and force a support ult. And it does.
Really nice to have. Even just as overhealth deal with this tectonic shock.
And Fielder just dies with Suzu. Fielder dies with Suzu because Chio's like, yo, I would have beat it. But Fielder, maybe you should wait behind the corner until the beat actually goes off, my friend. That is really silly.
Can't rely on the Kitsune rush any longer without your Kiriko.
And Raccoon is just trying to greed this. Raccoon might not even need to use another ultimate here. That's so silly, man. Am we underrating myself? All right, I appreciate it all.
To Crazy Raccoon's comp.
We gotta move.
50 meters to 83. Obviously the checkpoint as well for Crazy Raccoon right now.
Stalker goes Venture, because now this is approaching more of a close mirror with characters that you could actually interact with. Retract.
Junbin's ready. Wants to be able to.
Me when it's cold outside.
No.
Can't see it.
You
She's
just
vibing up there. Little Christmas ornament. Slam straight back down.
Slam.
Vibing up there. Little Christmas ornament.
And again, I think they're targeting Lucio here.
Slam straight back down.
Or trying to go for Lucio.
Almost didn't get the bar off there. Chio. Slam straight
They use Kitsune. It's responded with Kitsune. Chorong layers beat on top of that.
Junbin. Here comes the beat.
And they've...
Junbin's round. Almost didn't get the bar. Little Christmas ornament.
So slam to kill the push. Shut
Slam
up.
straight back down.
Venture burrows forest.
Almost didn't get the bar off there.
Kitsune Kifusukune beat hits everybody somehow. They all go inside. Lip puts...
What's scary?
I mean, if you're Falcons here, you're not too unhappy about that. You're able to force a fight indoors. Yes, you lose the fight, but it was a very expensive fight because of where the fight was set up.
Running away with this.
Will I be reviewing any of the EU games? Yes, I will be reviewing Ents versus Toronto.
This is not looking like the team
I think that was probably the most interesting fight match to look at.
It's almost becoming too late, Stalker. Oh, he's picked 4 different DPS heroes now to try to figure out how to counter this. Back on the Venture. But this is almost a full
Some early pressure there.
Raccoon.
Raccoons will have to disengage this one, and they're gonna be really scared of cage fight here. Venture is caught. Venture's caught. Venture's really caught. Suzu is forced and slam peel, and now he can commit on Sojourn here. There's no Suzu here, and really Heesing's mistake on the disengage cost them. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. He got caught in a mini room up top. It might have been a boot from Falcons. Wizard Young brain rot. I don't remember. I don't know why I would call Wizard Young brain rot. I have no idea, honestly. Maybe it was like the Tracer target priority nonsense? I don't remember. I assume I was joking, though. Early Venture ult, Suzu disengage. Can they? Lip? Yeah, Lip greets it and gets punished. Oh, and they trade backlines. Fielder dies. I don't know what happened there. Mines used to create disruption. Stalker's in trouble. Heesing pops Venture ult. Again, is kind of having a hard time getting value out of it. Forces it out. Lips hits a nice shot. He's trying to look for a pulse here. Decides not to. He's okay, I think.
But they've already lost Stalker.
And barely too, almost walked into the drill from Heesing.
And Fielder manages to TP out. There's the beat. There's the response with the Kitsune. They should be able to... Jeez, these beats are crazy. I actually don't even know if beat was necessary there, but I understand. And then they catch Chio in the open. My thought process, here's my take on Lucio play. I think that it's lazy to say that oh, the level of Lucio play was just a lot lower. Everybody was feeding. I think if every Lucio was getting punished, then I think that the common factor has to be that just main support's probably harder to play in this comp, just with the amount of CC available in the front line and with how fast targets can be. Lucio does better when he's not the squishiest target in the field, right? Now, that doesn't mean to say that we can't point fingers and be like, this Lucio play was good, this Lucio play was bad. I just do think that it is generally pretty ubiquitous that Lucio play across the board was kind of messy, and I think that's just the nature of the composition. Because I have seen so many Lucio first stats.
He's saying 2
And I think that's because of Tracer, because of Ball, because of Malga, because of Venture, because of Sojourn Rail, because of Cassidy, even. Not a good matchup for Lucio.
And Crazy Raccoon are so happy to have all of these fights be 1v1s.
Zardian, I'm going to make a video on Saturday discussing the meta evolution. We'll talk a little bit about this. Okay, and this should be pretty scary for Falcons. I think this might even force both ultimates from them because Sojourn ult with this much space is terrifying.
And this map, and with this
Like, it's definitely going to force Kitsune, and it might even force Cage Fight.
Falcons hide from this.
There's Kitsune. There's Cage Fight needs to be popped. Oh my gosh, Smurf egos that one so much. They kite the Kitsune. That was almost a Cage Fight needed there just for defensive purposes. He somehow managed to hold it on. Lip needs to disengage this. He catches Venture. And that's a good one. I don't feel like Crazy Raccoon has done a very good job kiting these cage fights. It feels like they're so obvious that they're coming, and they just don't speed out. Like I would legitimately be willing to kite all the way out to the train station here, or wherever the frick this thing is, and just play from up here. You know, you're like, why auto lose? It's like the second time that that's happened. That felt like a very odd plan there from Crazy. It feels like they're kiting ultimates, but like not properly kiting them. Like they just kite a little bit, and then they're like, oh, okay, I guess they're not the cage fighters. We're okay with that. I'm like, no. You have the cooldowns. Keep running. Keep running. Venture angle. A lot of ults here. Probably mines used first. Stalling point. Stalling point. Stalling point. There's the mines. There's the excavation initiated on the angle. Stalker's there. Tracer on the high ground. Early in initiation forces the split. They're going to wait that ultimate out. There's the Venture ult. Venture needs help. Burrow. Venture needs help. Venture needs help. Venture needs help. Very messy. I mean, if it makes you guys feel any better, if you guys ever play Venture, the pros are having a hard time with this ultimate. The pros are having a hard time getting value of this ultimate consistently. Kitsune is used. And Smurf, I'm not going to lie with you guys. You're probably wondering, like, what the frick was Smurf doing? I think the play here... I don't know what was happening here. I think this is like mid-fight communication from Falcons because the play here needs to be play slow. Like, they had Kitsune. They had Beat. They had Pulse. I don't know why Smurf goes in. This is a miscommunication. Smurf is acting like he has to go in, otherwise his fight's lost, which probably means support communication in some way, shape, or form. Because without these ults here, Smurf is right. You have to just try and land on somebody and pray that you get like a kill. But Smurf is going in, and that's not what the rest of Falcons is doing. That's a huge mistake. Because all he has to do is live until Beat, and they're fine. And this should be it. Yeah, this is it. This is it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the ball was great. A lot of early progress, just kind of won. And then essentially really nothing stand out from either side. But Crazy Raccoon had started with such a massive advantage that it just basically meant Falcons had to work uphill. I'm trying to remember this map. I don't remember this map as well. Any comment how New Queen Street has that feature? What feature? The stall feature? Oh, and that the bot has to basically walk in a big circle in mid. I mean, Eats Bronze is a little like that, right? Because there is that other thing where it folds in and goes sideways, so you can contest second, late second a little easier. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because the spawns are just so further, you know? So, like, making the push also move in a straight line would have been like, whoops, I just hit refresh. Okay, I'm gonna grab some water, y'all. Do you guys have any questions?
Pressure on the coaches during King's Row. You've got to find an answer for some of these off-meta ball picks. Junbin coming in for Smurf as well, bringing a more reserved style, but coming in cold off the bench. Crazy Raccoons, serious point. I mean,
cold off the bench, though.
That's
a good thing to talk about here. Johnny, we discussed this already with our guests. Yay or nay? How are you feeling about cold off the bench, Junbin?
Well, I was never on the bench because we didn't have subs back in my day, so I can't comment on that directly. But it is an interesting change-up. I mean, we saw, for example, in the previous series, SSG, they came down to King's Row as well, and they opted to play some more Sigma. There is some high ground, especially on that first point. It's a bit of a, I don't want to say it's desperation just yet, because these guys are so calculated. They obviously have a plan going into this one, but it is telling that they're not leaving Smurf in. Maybe they have something that isn't Mauga in the cards here. Maybe there is something they're not so calc point.
This is already with our guests.
You don't like Jake.
Yay or nay? How are you feeling about?
All right, let's see here. Yeah. I mean, I could see that. He definitely is very confident in himself, and sometimes that can definitely rub people the wrong way.
Oh, I can vault Hollywood and mid they as Team Falcons.
So
They get ready to go on this attack and see.
I do have a question. Why do you think the Falcons played Smurf throughout? In my opinion, Hog and Mug look way better than they played it. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. Like, I think it's really hard. Like, what do you judge? Green Descent, thank you for the sub. How do you judge Malga skill? Knowing when you engage, knowing when you disengage, making sure that you're like peaking your cardiac at the right time, hitting your cages. We've seen a couple of missed cages, a couple of weird engages, but I don't think we've had enough insight, you know? Patience, yeah, you could be right in that. You could be that in that regard. Landing the stun and charge, yeah. I don't know. It's hard for me. Okay, here's the thing. I don't think you're allowed to have I think you should be discouraged from having an opinion on Malga play until you've looked at on any character, really, almost, without exception, until you look at their POVs. I think the difference between them is their comms. See, I mean, that's exactly my point, right? Like, it's just hard to know. So I have no idea. We don't know. We don't know. I think Smurf has made some mistakes on Malga, but I don't know if Hanban would have been better. I have no insight as to that at all. I have no insight as to that at all. Maybe just Smurf had a bad day, or maybe Hanban's worse, and maybe Hanban played lucky in the maps that he was in. There's like a trillion different variables in there. So I don't have any way of commenting really at all.
See if they can make some magic happen. Could be the Malga here.
This is basically first point spam, anti-Malga dive crap. Farah's really good first point here. Spamming chokes, lip, you got the Sojourn on high. Brigitte's a little odd, but I think it's just a comfort pick at that point in time. You could run like a Kiriko defense, but it might not be all that good. Brigitte can play aggressively, can mark their Tracer, can mark their Curie and Lucio while helping her Farah and Sojourn at the same time. So, yeah. Let's take a look here.
Figuring out how to tactically approach this. The Crazy Raccoon set up on this dive there.
All the angles here.
Where are Team Falcons going to really put their emphasis first?
Forcing point. Where's the Farah angle? Where's the Sojourn angle? The Farah is still spamming this out. Great sleep on the Malga. Suzu's used. I remember being very confused by that Suzu. I think this is such a bad Suzu from Fielder. Hanman's fine. What are you guys scared of if you're sleeping as a tank? Nade, right? Your guy's basically full HP. He's fine. So why are you Suzuing when the guy's not naded? Cheers, Rusanta. I appreciate it. This is such a bad Suzu. This was such a bad Suzu. This is just embarrassing. And the thing is, he doesn't even Suzu him until he's basically already over with the sleep dart as it was. So he'd already woken up. And so then Donman's just freaking totally out of the fight. So odd. So odd.
It's so tough to get stuff done. Like, you need the Suzu to survive a lot of this damage to being thrown out by Crazy Raccoon.
He's already half. Hanban has yet to have a...
But yeah, these angles from Crazy Raccoon are just like really stifling Falcons out. They're trying to rotate to top here. I like this a lot. It could just be very difficult, even though, like, look at the rotation here. Like, Brig, Sojourn, Ana, Farah, Winston kind of anchoring point. Like, there's everywhere that, like, they're trying to clear out the top, and then Junbin pincers them, right? And if there's a nade on this, and there's the nade, right? Forces the Suzu instantly, Cardiac instantly, and then Winston just disengages. Now, Stalker kills Ana. Is Stalker on the flank? Is Stalker literally in their spawn? Yeah, I think Stalker's up here, guys. I think Stalker literally flanked all the way around behind. That's crazy. I actually don't think Crazy Raccoon even knew he was there. I don't think they even knew that he was there. That's actually so clutch. That's crazy. And Heesang's getting the trades, though. Wait, did they sleep Heesang? Oh, no, we didn't. They didn't. For some reason, I thought you said. I don't think they touch. Maybe. That's backbreaking. They could have held that. That's unfortunate. I mean, the boop. I don't think it was the boop. I think it was the Hinder. Maybe. I think the Hinder slowed the momentum enough for the boop to happen. So I think a little bit of both. So good cap from Falcons. That's a lot harder than it looks. Especially if they need to win that quickly before like Nano and stuff comes online, because then it gets really difficult. Yeah, it was both, yeah. Echo, good swap. Hard to take an angle on casting this choke here. You just got to get stuffed out, whereas the Echo verticality kind of can help with that a little bit. Farah on the flank. He's probably just kind of playing an all-in play here because he doesn't want to stay on Farah anyway. I don't know why they disengaged that. Maybe because they don't like where the fight location was happening. Oh, that is really unfortunate. Deep dive. Chorong pops rally, wraps, shield bashes the beat. That's unreal, man.
Making sure he returns his library books on time. Explosion and no pulse one from Sorka went wide. Heard the explosion and no kills.
There's a huge miscommunication here too. I'm looking at where Chio was. Check this out. Chio's hovering here, and then for whatever reason, he's on the floor. He's not even like up here. He actually walks forward. He pushes forward. There is a huge miscommunication here. Or just a huge individual error from Chio, maybe both. I don't know what happened here. Very confusing setup there from Falcons. Very confusing setup.
Where it is. Because where are Team Falcons going to actually go through to grab their payload?
Okay, good and no folded access. Thank you. Cage fights, catches Winston huge. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can use Primal Rage in cage fight. It just doesn't matter because you die so freaking fast. I think that's the case.
And that was a really big victory for Team Falcons to grab because that does get this payload moving once again and out of that dangerous territory of this Heesang Farbaraj from being way too powerful. Still has yet to let it rip, but Proper's been able to mark it down. And that
Nano available.
Opportunity cost to get onto this back line.
Primal available. Kitsune, they're gonna have Kitsune in the flank, it looks like.
Maybe go for this win.
A little slow on the Kitsune there. Opportunity there, maybe to catch somebody. I don't think they do it. There's the Kitsune, there's the kite. Can't reach the Onabrig on top. Slam the disengage, Lip responds to Sojournal, and that's it. Very difficult to actually access anybody with the current setup. Yeah. So Primal will keep you alive for a little longer, but you'll die anyway.
And Falcons are going to need to have a lot of ultimates to get past that second point as well. So not only do you have to break past this archway, which they do a good job of doing right now, but they still have to get this part over the second point, and they only have the duplicate in the pulse bomb at the moment.
Give my man's nano boost. Give it to Heesang. Get him over the top.
I think we can nano, honestly, anybody here. Nano Farah? Nano Barrage. Kite it out. Frick. Oh, they get the kill on Tracer. That's alright. That's alright. It could be worse. Could be worse there. Oh, and they get the copy. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's all of a sudden... That's all of a sudden salvaged. That's unfortunate. That kind of screws with your possible old economy advantage there. Again, the Pharah is just basically dumping damage on this choke as well as being an undivable target. This is where I feel like... Okay, so this is where I think Falcons supports lineup has its limitations, specifically with Fielder. I think that you have to do something different in terms of your setup. I don't think that you can honest Overwatch Lucio stack run it down main here, because you're not really doing this whole like life steal stack running down. Like you're running Tracer Echo, and you're running versus a Pharah and a Sojourn, and you're running with an Ana Brig on high ground. You won last fight through having a high ground rotation with a Tracer flank. You need to do something similar to that. I think this whole group up and stack, and this is where I think Fielder has always just been a kind of mid Kiriko in that regard, from what little that we've seen. I just think he's extremely unimaginative, and I don't think this choke is easy enough to break doing that.
In order to pressure Crazy Raccoon back, and maybe even get them up to this double support ultimate. Soccer with the pulse bomb too. Great peak potential.
Sound barrier in as soon as they got
Like,
Support ultimate. Soccer with the pulse bomb too. Great peak potential.
sound barrier in as soon as they got it, they're launching in, and there you go. The pulse bomb.
it just feels like you're carried by your DPS making moments, whereas Fielder just kind of exists.
Commit the primal rage, taking a fair bit of damage here. But he knows he has to survive for a little bit longer than the primal rage and is 1,000 HP.
No, they want the lifesteal commit. We talked about this at the start of the stream. It's just basically about running your Malga like a dive tank with a AoE cardiac, right?
Use of the stall that he would be able to provide onto that card. And now you're in these one quarters where he's saying he just has free real estate with these rockets.
Oh, he almost got the Lucio there too.
Over that rocket, but he managed to get away nonetheless. Barrage from Heatsang, no nano to follow up this time around, but the
Jeez, the direct rocket and then the rail. Oh, he would have got that one too.
just follows up with the rail.
No shields available for Team Falcons mean they have way more damage they're going to be taking every single time they try to come back to that card. Stalker, though, making a big change up. Going to go over to the Venture, a little bit more initiation capability alongside the
Venture for more high ground control here. Really? Because the high ground control is kind of useful here. It is a little awkward versus the Pharah, but it's very useful.
Here too.
Quite like it, but look at the ultimates coming through Crazy Raccoon. They got 5 of them.
Definitely the advantage.
Prop is already dead.
Proper dead. Cardiac used. They were looking for Kitsune on main, I believe, and then looking to survive the dive. Junbin goes in deep. He might get his Primal Rage forced here. No, he's good.
And just wait.
Crazy Raccoon have been so patient with these ultimates too. With not
Again, the Pharah is just constantly utilizing the high ground and basically having their Brigade to full pocket 24/7.
starts to wind down.
There's a cage fight in Junbin, and he's dead.
Now they might have to.
That's exactly what you needed.
A little bit of a lapse of focus there for Junbin. He needed to be more cautious there.
Still nailed onto Junbin, but it's not going to mean all too much.
1 minute to go.
Venture has high ground. Venture might rotate to top left. Look at the Kitsune on point, and they'll probably copy, honestly, Ana there. There's Sojourn ult just to take space. They use it to get their Winston on top. That forces copy. Winston copy is used. That forces lip slide. Responded with rally. Beat is used on top of that, and Fielder should really use Kitsune here. Kitsune is used. Brigitte is in a world of trouble. Does not expect the full copy there. The nano is used on the Pharah, but honestly may have been better there to use it on Brigitte just to keep her alive. Pharah's dead anyway. The trades are there, but really the setup for Crazy Raccoon's not there, and Junbin does not use Primal.
For Crazy Raccoon, and Prop has gone about and done it.
Huge error here from Junbin. Like, that's a big deal. Really some messy space control there. Junbin will be able to get there in time, but yeah, see, that's the problem. Is like you need your Winston to kind of absorb that pressure so that your DPS can actually take space. Falcons are making this work when they could just group up and rotate, whether it was at the end of second point, the start of first point, or the end of third. The fights where they're able to just Kitsune on point, set up, and make it work, they're able to make it work. If they don't get it, they don't get it. That's all it is to it. Messy, messy setup from Raccoon, and honestly a little bit slow on the layering there. Okay.
There have been that only
For a long time and only just
And then defense, Sojourn. You have the defensive Sojourn. Let's see what Heatsang plays.
and a very clear win condition.
Trace Pharah. Okay.
More than a minute to get that free attack.
Will he stay Pharah, or is he just using it to go for combos is the question. Yeah, Echo.
Think about the Pharah, get a couple of rockets down, but eventually the leans
A
on
little bit more movement available.
out of this.
No, he needed to win the fight, Quack. They got a couple trades there. Even just using the primal to keep yourself alive, live in the backline, and then recontest later was fine.
See how powerful those duplicates were in that previous round. So something else that he's saying can use.
On a brig split, Chorong needs to be really safe.
Falcons, they've got to play.
I think Chorong needs to rotate through here and then take top stairs. And then I think Shu honestly can either... Honestly, Shu could just stay back high ground. Great nade there from Shu. Suzu is forced. Where's the brig? Is the brig up top? Yeah, brig's up top. Ana's there. And then now, honestly, you just stay. Like, with this setup here, with the brig especially, you could clear out the space. You don't even need to do anything if you're Crazy Raccoon. Just slowly squeeze things out. Big nade. Proper's low. No Suzu. Or I think the Suzu was there. Brigitte drops the point. Tracer here. More point pressure. A lot of passive pressure there. Nade is used. Huge nade. Huge combo there. Jeez, Shu. Hits every nade, even the hard ones, man. So, he needs to get the high ground here, I think. I think he needs to get the high ground. He needs to rotate. I mean, I guess this corner's okay. He needs to hug this corner really tight because he needs to be careful of Kitsune Rush. The nade is used, hits the Malga. That's Suzu. He needs to kite. Run. Heesing does not kite out in the right direction. Heesing is not ready for it. Heesing actually drops. That's a huge mistake by Heesing. Oh. Jeez, dude. That's just a huge mistake from Heesing. They were in a good position to kite that. Lip sets on the angle. Ooh, big stickies. That might force a Suzu there. Nano Monkey. They try to Ajax. They do not Ajax. Sojourn is there. Copies. They get the trade. I don't know where Shu is. Shu might have dropped. Yeah, I guess Shu dropped inappropriately. Yes, so Shu dropped here. This is not great. They needed to be cautious about the setup here. They were not ready for the beat engage. So Shu's going to die. If Shuron can live here with Rally, even if Shu dies, it might be okay. Yes, it looks like they're going to be okay. The setups from Raccoon have been pretty good, though, I will say. It's been some micro stuff, but the setups have been pretty good. Good pushes from Falcons there as well. Pharah swap. Second point, more choke-oriented character, so Pharah can work. Nade is used early. No Suzu. Bubble is used early. They need to be ready to kite out. Winston's deep. Even with Primal Rage, he needs to be really careful. Lip has to fully disengage there. I don't love that bubble there, frankly, from Junbin. Sleep Dart forces Suzu. Again, I'm just confused by the Suzus here. Like, I don't understand the Suzus. I think that's such a big mistake from Fielder. Because that's Suzu right there. And that is a questionable pulse bomb there. But, like, okay, so it's a questionable pulse bomb. But you know what? There's the nade. Where's the Suzu? Like, the Suzus from Fielder have been really strange. I'm not gonna lie. And by strange, I mean bad. A lot of Suzus are just like a slept Malga near full, and then people die as a result. There's been a couple of fights lost from that. Junbin kind of flopped this game. No, it's just it's been okay so far. So last fight territory. Now that you've actually got your Pharah set up here, Primal being used, or that's what we call a stagger ult. Basically makes it so that it's a very uncomfortable recontest. They need to get 3 in cart here. Oh my gosh. That's actually so dumb. He catches the Pharah. They need to break it. They need to break it. They need to break it. They break it. They bubble it. They need to break it! Oh my gosh. They could not. That's actually tragic. That's such a good cage fight there from Hanbin. I really think Heesing got too close. It's similar to what we saw in the previous backline when they had Kitsune beat and Anabrick just got a little close. Heesing gets a little too close. And they really don't have, I guess they really just don't have the comp for breaking cage. Jeez.
opportunity to.
A lot of them just ignored.
Yeah, it's a hard decision, but you have to trust your tank. Like, nade is way more of a priority than sleep dart when there's not a lot of burst damage on board.
They want to play the mirror.
Like, even if your Malgo gets bursted, you could just run away, but you can't run away from nade. The nade follows you.
Second checkpoint, but
You could run away from damage, but you can't run away from nade as easily.
knows kind of how to deal with this as you see them Palka in his sights. But minute 45.
So a lot of support ults here. This should be Raccoon's fight here. I think the play is probably to go for an Ajax again with either Nano Winston or Naro Farah.
Getting a good angle here is going to be quite hard.
Good angle setup. They should be able to force Cardiac there. That's another good angle there. There's the angle from proper force. Okay, so this is really cute. So look at this from Heesang. Sojourn on main. Rotate right. Proper says, pocket me, pocket me, pocket me. I'm taking top left to deny their off angle. You see this? And this is where Sojourn has an advantage. So Heesang freaks. Shoot. I'm out. Gets Nano to keep himself alive. And then panic barrages. And does nothing. Meanwhile, Lip somehow screws up. I don't know where Lip is. And ends up getting picked as well. But literally Nano Barrage gets nothing. It does force beat, but it's not a good trade. And that's actually, and then Rally is used as well while down one. I think he prevents Stalker from getting, oh, he tries to bash Stalker out of the pulse bomb, and Shu dies anyway to pulse bomb.
20 seconds to go.
They're losing their
That is a major fight for Falcons right there.
to this third and final another hero in his pool going over to the Genji.
Cassidy, Sojourn, Genji, really good in this first, towards the end there. Very close area. I don't really know what you do here. You don't have time to play for ults. You know they have Kiriko. You have to do something ganky, I think. They do a fake rotation, gives them around the corner, tries to dash in to force early Malga, does force early Cardiac. Both Malgas slam into each other. Both Malgas die. The problem is the Kitsune. Something needs to die. Choron gets caught in the backline, overcommits. He's going to die for it. They don't even need to use Kitsune. And he's saying it looks like he might stagger himself. Nope, they're able to get out. Cardiac is used, but he doesn't have deflect. Oh, no. And that's going to be it, I think. Kitsune is used. Slam, cage fight on point, and that's it. Yeah, Falcons basically finds ways. And this is kind of what I was talking about, right? It's obviously not the most open map in the history of the universe, but like Falcons just not really playing many angles. Like they're just not really playing meta Overwatch map control thing. They're pretty much like even times when they should, right? Even times when they should with a comp, they're just kind of grouping up and just push polling a lot. That's all they're really doing. Now Proper, is taking some angles here and there for sure. Obviously Stalker taking some deep flanks here and there too. But for the most part, it's just basically like the 2-man support stack and tank and just kind of like kiting ults, countering ults and like not really worrying too much about it. And this is kind of what we talked about with the Cardiac stuff. The Cardiac and ADO is like letting them cheat just a little bit. So, obviously pretty good execution there from Falcons. A couple times I felt they could have done better. I think Crazy Raccoon's big stuff is they just really beef their old fights. Like a lot of fights there just were not clean fight wins. Like there's just a lot of like cheap, goofy errors. Heesang gets caught out of position. Lip dies to just a Tracer one clip, essentially. Chorong pops Rally to defend his Ana, and then his Ana dies anyway. They literally blew like 4 ultimates and lose anyway. Heesang gets caught in a solo cage fight and is unable to get out. It's just like a lot of like those little things. Junbin doesn't pop Primal, instead lets them cap. Just felt like some goofy old errors that like it's really hard to like nail down any one thing, and I think you do have to give credit for Falcons for playing that one well. Yeah. Okay. Grab a little bit of water, and then we'll get into the last map, y'all.
How do you want to see the backline approaching this matchup?
Well, it's going to be really interesting, Jade, because, I mean, we did see Falcons commit to the Mauga, even on a map like Gibraltar, for example. And, I mean, especially on, like, Ruins, for example, that could be something where you try to force it. I might think we might see Lip even try to go Widowmaker on Ruins, because you have those long sightlines, and it's something that Lip does so extremely well. So we'll see how that matchup...
Yeah, I mean, this is the tough one, right? Like, the map advantage is a big deal. And I want you guys to understand that after the... After map 5, which was what? New Queen Street, after the push map, any map was fair game. So you could choose any map. You didn't have to go controlled and this and this and this. And any map was fair game. So we actually skipped control and we went straight into hybrid. And then now we're going back to control for map 7. So kind of a cool situation. I guess I'll need to test it more, but I actually didn't hate it too much. It does give like the whole like alternating maps like more of a priority, so it's a little bit more predictable match results. But it does make for some interesting map variety. So I've never felt like particularly qualified to give like my full opinion on like the competitive integrity / viewability of like map selection balance stuff. So, but yeah. Okay, any final questions before we get in the last map, y'all? Because this one is a pretty good one. Got to be grateful that we've only really had one full-on Malgamir map. I guess you could count Oasis, but even like the Oasis one had a pretty good decent amount of compositional variety within the DPS and even the Roadhog pick. So how much water did I drink today? 20, 25, 30 ounces. Not a ton today just yet. Shirt off? No. No. Is there a fundamental difference to how Malga is played with the different DPS? Yeah, so I don't think there's like a fundamental difference to how Malga is played, but there is a difference to how the DPS are played, if that makes sense. In other words, the DPS are less solo flank oriented and a lot more willing to play around their tank, literally around their tank, because they benefit so much from the lifesteal. How much is an ounce in real measurements? So like this is a cup, right? I would say this is like around like 7 ounces, right? 16 ounces is a pound. So let's say a full glass of water about the side would be about 10 ounces. Coach me? Exclamation mark coaching. Whatever to a Malga cosplay. I'm not big enough. How does a comp play differently with Genji Venture versus Tracer Cassidy? I mean, you could probably predict. The Genji Venture is much more of a kind of like a hive mind death brawl, rotating 3-2-1 advantages, just inting in with like a slight Genji off angle or maybe a slight Venture off angle, basically trying to end up in one giant clump where everyone's life stealing off of each other. Whereas the Cassidy Tracer is going to play more like a traditional poke mirror or brawl mirror, where you are looking for commits when you have advantages, maybe off of a Tracer angle, but you're kind of poking and prodding and waiting for resource trades and playing for your advantageous Cassidy angle and so on. Who would I cosplay? I don't know. I don't think there's really anybody in Overwatch that like strikes me as a cosplayer. In terms of like body size, I have something that's more along like the Genji Cassidy body style. Like I've got muscle. I'm around 5'9", about their height. I don't know how tall Cassidy is. I think I'm taller than Genji. But I don't think there's really anybody that could really cosplay that well. Best Zenyatta tip you can give? Yes. Quick, easy tip would be orb aggression, right? Like make sure you're harmony orbing your teammate that's going aggressive or discord the enemy that's going aggressive. And then make sure that you're not abusing alternate fire too much. Whatever there's damage to be done, make sure you're mashing primary fire. Only use alternate fire when there's nothing to shoot or you're rotating behind cover. So when would you play what? Is it mostly based on comfort picks? I think it's mostly based on the map. Clack, clack, clack. Like whenever there's space, open sightlines, broad flanks, Cassidy Tracer is going to feel really good. Or something like that, Sojourn Tracer or whatever. But when there's a lot more congested, like Flashpoint style stuff, then I think the Genji Venture functions a lot better. Do you think Cassie's overtuned at the moment? No, I actually don't think Cassie's overtuned. I think Cassie's balanced. I think it's just his ability in terms of his hinder that feels really bad to play versus. But I think Cassie's reasonably balanced. Is Soldier good right now? I think Soldier's struggled a little bit with the rise of Ball and Tracer, because I think Tracer can contest Soldier pretty well, and I think Soldier's pretty bad matchup versus Ball because he doesn't have a lot of burst damage, and he doesn't have really any CC. And one of Soldier's strengths is his mobility, but it's very easy to contest a Soldier on an off angle as a Wrecking Ball. So I don't think Soldier's a bad character, I just don't think he's that good in the meta right now. I think he does poorly versus the Ball, and I think Ball's really strong right now. Maybe not like, I mean, I just think he's an overtuned character. I think Ball is a little overtuned right now. I think doesn't mean that Ball is like broken and bad. I think Ball still has some of the main issues with like, he has a lot of struggle with CC, but like if you don't have CC, Ball is like really overtuned. Cosplay Lobster, surely. Okay. Dive Mirror, this is pretty normal for this map. A lot of verticality. It's pretty much impossible to turtle on point. You guys might remember London back in the day, turtling on point, but Season 9 pretty much killed the viability of that strategy because one of the advantages of that situation is you could do like BAP window and then one-shot people with like a Symmetra orb or like a Bastion grenade or the two-tap people, right? Basically what happened is, especially with the DPS passive as well, you just really can't turtle on point anymore. Like, it just doesn't work. DPS passive's too OP. You lose the 2-tap as the person on the floor. It's just not that good. Even something like as a Mei, you can't one-shot Tracer anymore. So basically, what you're gonna have is like just dive mirrors. Echo is really, really good in these open spaces with verticality. This is no surprise. Who do you think of the pros? We don't see counters the ball like this in ranked. It's because the problem with countering ball with heavy CC is it's a team play skill check. Like, if you're playing ball into Roadhog at the highest level, okay, it's also, we haven't really seen a lot of ball at the highest level, but Sombra's really easy to deal with this ball. If you have any flanker support at all, like a ball Tracer, that destroys Sombra Tracer. Like, you just hunt the Sombra down. She can't get away. And then characters like, you know, Roadhog just aren't that good, at least not at the pro level. So that's pretty much it. And also, again, like, we just haven't seen that much ball.
But we've got some honest Overwatch on our hands, Jaws. It's
Honest
live.
Overwatch.
Dive, and it's a complete mirror, pure skill matchup here.
Early little bit of pressure there. Junbin does get his bubble forced early. And what that does is really a lot of what these bubble trades do is if you get pressure on backline, that opens up windows. Windows are situations where, or turns, like the Koreans like to call it, are situations where you can use your DPS to take duels with support. Because when my Winston's diving your backline, my support can pocket your DPS when your supports are too busy peeling off my Winston. You get it? So what my Winston does is he distracts your supports, which leaves your DPS vulnerable. Now the question is couldn't Smurf do the same? The answer is yeah, he could. He could. In fact, I don't really know where Smurf is. He might be doing the same. But no, he's not. He's on the high ground. So basically, this means that Raccoon's supports are pretty much free to pocket Heesing. So even if Heesing like doesn't hit as many shots as Stalker, Heesing has an armor pack. Heesing has an armor pack. And so I think Heesing does outplay him in the Echo trade here, even without support. But that's why Heesing is pursuing this. My Winston's going in, so I'm going to take a trade on your DPS because you're vulnerable. So either Smurf needs to trade backlines there, or Stalker needs to play more patient until Smurf trades backlines there. I don't know what happens there to Shu. He gets naded. Great nade from Fielder. Why are my supports pocketing your DPS? Shut up. I'm too tired for this crap, man. Another huge nade. Brig goes to touch point. Doesn't matter. The Ana pick is too valuable. So let's see, how does Raccoon trade here? Where's Tracer? I don't know where Heesing is. Heesing is, I think, on a flank and just gets caught with his pants down when his supports are rotating top, I think. I think his supports couldn't see him. So another disengage here. Junbin is really low. He's getting hard off-angled by both Tracer and Echo, and he's going to die here. He's going to die. He's going to die. He's going to die. Oh my gosh, he lives on 1 HP. And this is why off-angles matter. It makes it so hard to stage as Winston if the DPS are perma off-angling and poking you. Early recall there. Both recalls forced. Crazy Raccoon needs to find a way to force point here. So let's look at the setup here. Tracer's going to blink across to here. Echo may play somewhere in this vicinity here. Actually, it looks like Echo's here and Tracer's here, okay? And then Ana's going to control this angle here, be able to pocket point, be able to pocket here. And the reason why Brig is here is so that Brig can help deny the Winston just a little bit. Whoops. But more importantly, can assist on point. It does leave your Ana exposed. He disengages. Actually, Ana wasn't even on the high ground. Ana was way far back. So Smurf actually wastes Nano here. Like, this is huge peel from Falcons. So look what happens. So I think Ana's like somewhere back here, maybe? So outside of Nano jump range. So then they bait Brig. Brig bashes out. They peel it off, and the Nano Monkey does nothing. It does zone, but getting a zone isn't great. You want a nade force or a whip shot force or maybe even a kill, right? So they kite. Junbin tries to avoid taking damage. In the meantime, they get the copy on Tracer. Winston Tracer. Heesing's got a 2v1 proper on point. Stalker needs to be... Where's Stalker? Stalker's there. Proper catches lip, though. Ooh, rally is used. Oh my gosh. And in this devolved fight, that kill right there is everything that matters. Yeah, so Crazy Raccoon just basically catches the dive
There's still enough stall here for
and then pushes back.
get back. Had the opportunity to use the primal rage there to
The
extend
raccoon.
even further, but Team Falcons got what they wanted.
You guys making fun of Jaws pronunciation or my pronunciation?
To throw into the next one. But Crazy Raccoon, they're now going to be on the defense, having control at this point. So watch Lip. Watch this pulse bomb.
Deep flank, pulse bomb. Deep dive, nano. Or nade. Set nade. They catch the Ana.
Didn't even need the tracer in the end.
Showrun gets caught with his pants down here, though. He needs to disengage. He gets full stickied, it looks like, and then gets traded by the Echo Tracer. And Winston. No bubble, and Hammond does not block stickies in time. Primal is used.
That primal rage.
Recall's forced. Lip should die. Lip does die.
Even though Lip was about to get sent over the edge, Proper denies that environmental, just finishes up the kill regardless. 90% and
Jaws, both? Okay.
this first round. With Proper working up to a pulse bomb, this end might be in sight.
Who's there to touch? Junbin looking like
Nade is blocked. Junbin's booped. Junbin is C9'd. And that's it.
He can't get there.
So, Falcons plays it really well. Falcons plays it really well. The ult game got really messy, but even with the Nano Winston, right? Like, as messy as that fight was, they zoned the backline for so long, and a lot of feels like unnecessary trades on squishies there, right? Like getting the initial pick on the Echo there, and then just losing shoot to just a random nade, right? Like, anticipating that stuff is so important. But yeah. All right, probably the same comp. I mean, it's the same kind of verticality, same sort of high ground. On a Briggs rollout.
ready and roaring to go. Same comps. Mirror dark.
Echo top with Brig.
Watch these backlines. Fielder, Chio for Falcons, Strong and Shu for Crazy Raccoon.
Okay, so let's look at this here. So
Backlines. Fielder, Chio for Falcons.
Echo angle going underneath. Set nade forces instant recall. They jump off of the nade here.
One is going to go down first.
I don't even know where Heesang is.
And Shu for Crazy.
Is he just up in the skybox?
Which one is going to go down first? Because with these Winstons, you're seeing that aggression go towards them, the supports, to take them out of the fight first.
Yeah, so Heesang's all the way back out.
You're almost hoping you're seeing a little bit of road dog here, maybe. A little cheekiness, but
Hook into
I'm
the
more
well.
of a fan of Honest Overwatch myself. Crazy Raccoon
Nade is used. Nade
did land, hit a bump.
hits Brig Shield, honestly. I think. Yeah, I think he just blocks the nade with Brig Shield. Does Chio, so that's huge.
Did land, hit a
And then Heesang gets caught. Where is Heesang? Heesang drops floor and ends up getting caught. Heesang has been caught a lot here.
first again. Proper arch nemesis
Not near enough punish there.
in time as Falcons are there looking to cap again.
Huge peel there. They're able to disengage that one pretty easily.
That Smurf can't go in and finish up those picks, so Chorong and Shu are able to
So the question is where's the backline from Crazy Raccoon going to rotate to? Looks like top left, at least to start.
Fielder looking
Clear space. The Nano's a concern now.
next fight, but look at Lip.
Pressuring the Winston from the off angle. Forces bubble. Bubble is traded.
Well for this next fight, but look at Lip already with a pulse bomb and waiting.
Yeah, 99%, that'll do it. And there's the back.
And basically what they're doing is the backline is too far. And you can't stage on backline without getting poked out. So what you do is you try and establish some sort of a bubble trade, which is at least a neutral trade, and try to shoot them more than they shoot you, or hit the right targets. Because if we can get these guys out to shifted back here, now your Tracer and your backline and Winston can walk forward here. It's basically the way it looks at.
Yeah, 99%, that'll do it.
I felt like that was almost about to stick there, so that's crazy.
Not even a hit marker there.
Nano's available, Nano's available, Nano's available.
Got a nano boost
Both Brigs got to be ready here.
required. Sleep guard
Good. Nano's the Echo. Almost hits the sleep dart, but full stickies there.
Stalker with the help of the nano. Now it's Heesang's time to shine.
And Fielder doesn't even get the Nano off.
The sun.
And Nano Boost allowing Heesang to have that extra damage to duel it out with Stalker in that 1v1. Not quite enough to be able to get him that duplicate right now, but he will have it by the time that Team Falcons move back in. But Team Falcons are coming in with...
So, Raccoon's going to reset up. Big thing here is going to be like the primal mess. This point is pretty easy to stall. So, the Falcons really needs to get like a claptrap, clean fight win, a clean kill here. Otherwise, this capture percentage could stack up pretty badly here. Ana's going to actually take top right by herself. And I assume this is looking for either a Nano Echo or a Nano Winston engage. They use bubble early. Nade. Oh, it's a set nade. It's a set nade from up the ropes, right? Briggs in trouble. Huge copy. Echo is used. This is going to force Primal, copy, and rally. Defensive rally used on the Primal. Nano is used. They peel it off. Yeah, the Nano was used on the Brigitte there. Oh, wow, what a snipe. Smurf should live.
There was 4 tracers on the point at that one point. And look at this. Team Falcon's able to get
Yeah,
control,
huge.
even just briefly, as Stalker's
4
able to
tracers, actually wild.
sending them all the way back to spawn.
I don't know, disadvantage. Crazy Raccoons, you're thinking they were going to fall there, but still, they burned so many ults of Team
Yeah.
Nothing coming into this next fight. Lip is going to be a big difference maker here.
Yeah, but these Echoes can still have a lot of potency in these matchups. Look at where Stalker is going to be hitting from, all the way behind that building, and so much flexibility when it comes to his line of sight.
Huge nade. Like, there's so many... Like, look at that. And then they hit the nade.
His line of sight.
Like, that's kind of on Chio. Like, where is this nade coming from? Oh, it's coming from up the top ropes here, guys. Look at that. Look at that nade. That's insane. Chio's just not ready for it. And that nade is, that's it. Like, that's it right there. Like, that's such a free fight win.
And Lip still with the pulse bomb. Might not even need it. Team Falcons, they're still in control at this point.
Yeah, and they commit, they clean this all up.
A little bit of trade there, but Crazy Raccoon should be winning this fight.
That's insane.
We're going to almost 99 to 90.
Time led us into a map number 7.
And the key thing here is like that was such a clean fight when that Crazy Raccoon walks in this with a pretty convincing ult lead, right? Like, everything is the same except for the Nano, and Nano is huge, right? Nano is huge. And I'm curious to see who they Nano here. It could be Heesing, it could be Junbin. It depends on the positioning here. It really depends on the position of the target. Yeah, looks like the Winston. And that's going to set up the distraction that allows the pulse bomb to go off. Oh, that is so good, bro. The guy is so good at Tracer, which is insane. Like, it's criminal to have somebody that good at hit scan and that good at Tracer.
Team Falcons reeling as they figure out how they want to approach this next fight. But now that they've gotten so many ultimates out of Crazy Raccoon,
Very free, cheap fight win there. And now you're going into another ult fight where really you're only at a slight ult disadvantage here.
He needs to hit the backline here, and he does.
Really nice opener there. Brigitte kind of caught with her pants down here. I'm not sure if this is them trying to kind of pull a fast one because they know they're going into basically 5 ults, so they try to do some weird setup. But proper shuts that one down. Controls angle and shoots. Chio gets caught, though. Is that another nade here? No, Chio just dies. Chio just dies. Panic sleep dart and backline trade. Aggressive Brigitte. So that's it. That's it right there. There's your chaos, right? Falcons doesn't even get their ult bank off because of that chaos. So it catches Chorong, but they're able to get the enemy's backline as a result. Oh my gosh. That is brutal for Chio right there. That is the second unearned kill on Chio in a roll. That's unreal. Unreal. That's back-breaking there for Falcons. Absolute back-breaking. Nano and Primal and Rally, and you never even got to set it up. Never even got to set up. All right, guys, this is the last round. Broad map, not as much verticality, so we're going to see some Malga. Raccoon, pretty good map for Ball, despite being relatively flat. Because, you know, Balt is fine and flat, but it's not super broad. But what it is it's long, right? So, like, you could actually go very easily and grab all these mega... I mean, come on, like, this map has such an absurd amount of mega health packs. Like, it's actually insane. 7 megas on this map. Yeah, lots of arches, lots of swing points. Point is very easy to contest and control, easy to contest any high grounds that you want to. And then obviously if you pair that with the Echo with the verticality, it's pretty good. So now the other thing here as well is it's unusual to see. I'm not sure. This looks like Falcons were expecting Amalgam here. You would not run Pharah into the ball. You definitely would not. So I'm expecting that they were an amalgam here, in which case this is actually pretty good, right? A little bit of space for your Cassidy, not as many angles for your Tracer. It's pretty predictable angles, and then also pretty nice and nasty choke boxes for Pharah. So this is not even a bad comp for Falcons. It's just a bad map read. It's a bad comp read, or a brilliant one from Raccoon, depending on what way you want to look at it. Yeah, and he's actually going to go Tracer here. I don't know if they were like pre-scouting. They might have been pre-scouting. So actually, Falcon's comp is pretty reasonable here. And the reason they're running Ana, so you're like, why aren't they running Ana? Like, couldn't you just get run over? You talked about that, right? It's because you park your Ana on the back high ground, like the equivalent of this position here, and she's basically untouchable. So you get the greediest support that you want, and you could just get away with it. Junbin, a little early with his pressure there.
Able to grab the Mega though to make himself a little bit more healthy for the second re-engage.
Adapt the shields. Tracer trying to... He has to be very careful about when he engages there. Notice he didn't slam immediately, because if he does, he gets hindered. And then Malga pops E, and then he dies. So hinder is terrifying right now.
Stall this one out, at least for a little bit. No, is Falcons again. Capping first. Look at Junbin go.
And the team looking for somebody to flatten.
Bam. Now Cassie's isolated. Bam. There's the punish. Okay. Never mind. They got too much value on the angle first. See, that's the thing, is like if you AFK in the back, you actually do nothing. Then as soon as you walk forward, ball punishes you. But they were able to get the punish soon enough. The Cassidy angle, let's see how they set up this angle, Falcons. Cassidy's walks forward. Tracer on point. Yeah, and they're just able to pocket him out. They're able to pocket him out. Cardiac, again, cheating the map control for them. Trying to control the off angles here. They're able to poke out Smurf. Big nade as well. Chio is really low. I think that might have forced Suzu as well. Pokety, 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 poke. We might see a copy on either Tracer or Malga here. There's the ball engage. He's going to stage on backline. He's on backline now. They can't mark him. There's the Tracer copy all the way in. Kitsune is used in response. Suzu is also used as well. The copy is there. They need the pulse bomb. The pulse bomb is almost there. The fadeaway. And then now we might see a nano here on Echo. Or there's the beat, actually. So they're going to beat engage. Cassie's not ready for that. Beat is used in response. He uses High Noon just to keep himself alive and get down Mr. President. Check this one out, y'all. So they beat in response. They beat in response. Bam, bam. Get down, Mr. President. Oh, dear. I think I would have preferred an earlier nano there from Shu. I think that might have allowed the field to set up feel a little bit better. But that squeezes Falcons out of space. And there's the nano. Really not the end of the world there for Falcons. That was a pretty close fight there. Junbin needs to be careful. Oh my gosh, how?
But this is where the wrecking ball becomes even more potent. Because
yeah.
they had control first. They were able to play from that defensive position.
Where does he go?
This wrecking ball getting some time to set up with the mines as well.
Okay, he stays. I was gonna say, I don't think there's anything else. Mines on rotation. Nade is forced. Suzu's used. This opens up mines if he wants to hit them on rotation. He doesn't quite get the hit that he wants. So lets them rotate. But then mines at the point should be dominant now. Cage fight is used. And they hit Fielder in rotation. I don't know where Fielder is. Fielder is group. Fielder is low. Fielder doesn't even get Suzu or TP off. Or maybe he doesn't have Suzu. And so, again, Fielder's just like gets split. And he doesn't get cardiac. He doesn't use TP. And I don't even think the cage... Does the cage fight even hit anybody? No, he misses everybody. He goes for a flanker. Yeah, he misses the Suzu. Oh, dear. So even though Shu dies, it takes way too long. It takes way too long. And now Proper's dead. Yeah. No, that, I think it was for Ana. I think it was for Ana. They were looking for Ana. Shu was hiding. You guys could catch the little end of the review. Yeah, perfect. Smurf panics to Winston. It's not working. He can't reach the Ana. And I want to actually, so I want to point something out here. What really feels like the savior here, I know everyone's talking about like Junbin ball. I actually think it's Shu Ana. I think it's Shu Ana. Like when he's hitting these nades and basically solo forcing Suzu, it's making the ball get value. Because what's happening is that Junbin really can't commit until he's seen like Hinder or Suzu, because all they would do is they'd hinder him, they'd Suzu his slam, and then he'd die. The problem is that the Suzu is getting, like these support cooldowns are getting forced just from the pressure of Shu. Like just the nade is forcing it. If Shu doesn't hit those nades, then they're not allowed to actually just ignore the AoE sustain. So it's actually the external pressure from Shu that's then allowing Junbin to actually play the video game. Yeah, this will be on YouTube. So I think the swap here is more to do with Shu than it is to do with Junbin. I mean, let's be honest. Junbin's doing fine. There's nothing wrong with what Junbin is doing. Junbin's doing great. But I think it's on this particular situation, it's the Ana that's where Lip dies. What happens to Lip? Little early, and he gets sniped. I think that was a headshot from Fielder, maybe. Yeah, at least a body shot, maybe a headshot from Proper as well. Echoes out. Tracer copy forced. Beat is here. Kitsune is used. I think if you're Raccoon, I think you disengage. There's the nade again. Beat is used defensively, but Shu doesn't get it. And this is the risk with Ana, right? Like, if you don't get the beat, if you don't hold the high ground, then you're kind of cooked. It's actually ridiculous. This should not be happening. This should not be happening. Who dies first here? Proper dies first. Not sure what happened there. Chio gets isolated again. Not sure what happened there. Lip just now got back. And then Fielder dies again. I mean, this is just deathmatch. It's deathmatch, and Crazy Raccoon are winning. They're winning. The target focus is better. The lockdown is better. They didn't have any business winning that fight. They get the opening pick. They get the Kitsune. They get the kill on Ana. They force the beat, but nothing happens, and they lose. He used the team shields again there. Yeah, don't let ball players gaslight you into saying that ability is useless. It's niche, but it's not useless. It's free. It's just negative Nancy's on Twitter, man. I don't think the Malga was for no reason. I don't think the Malga was as bad here, because it's a lot easier to access stuff here than it is in some of the other maps. It was a calculated risk, and it almost worked. Yeah, I mean, very well earned by Crazy Raccoon. They were the more flexible team. Made fewer mistakes in terms of like map picks, comp picks, stuff like that. Yeah.